And we are here for another episode, for another stream podcast of My Hero Academia final season, episode 3. I am the final boss. Just FYI warning, this will I'll probably not stop gushing about Bakugo. I will take any of the punishment that comes from that, even though we do lose that one viewer from Brazil. If they are still watching, I have no idea.
Oh god, we can't do that. Why are we even here if we don't have that viewer?
I don't know if he's been there. I only been able to take check on that Brazil viewer because I was we're not using the same podcast broadcasting network. I don't know where that viewer went, even if they were, because there's no way to tell if they were consistently viewing or there was just that one time that kept track of them. I had no idea.
So can you check now and see what our Brazilian presence is like?
I don't think so.
How are we supposed to know how to live our lives?
I live mine the way I've always lived it. Fast and low.
What? Why low? What does low mean in that context?
I don't know. I'm just saying words. Don't ask. Don't question me.
You know that like words exist to say things that mean things with, right? Like that's opposed to grunts. Words like were developed to have purpose.
Yeah, I'm using it how I want to use it because I do say things with purpose. Just decided to use the word low because I couldn't figure out any other way to say. I don't know what else I was saying. Like I just live my life fast, even though I really don't live it fast. Man, look at my stream schedule. Freaking playing Silent Hill in October and I haven't even finished it yet. Tomorrow. tomorrow. If anybody was curious about that. Well, right now I don't see anything from Brazil. At least the most recent video that launched, which was like last week's video.
Maybe our viewer from Brazil like moved to a different country. Is there a country near Brazil where we have traffic?
I wouldn't know that. I really wouldn't. Where the heck is the playlist? I really just lost it. Where the hell is the play? Here you are. This one. Journey Analytics. Yep, here so. Audience. There's a lot of people who listen to this on a mobile phone, where most of the traffic's coming from. And there's no top geographies. So apparently 100% of these people who listening to this are not subscribed to me. So actually I'm going to use this as a call to action. Please subscribe to the Alternate Visuals channel. I don't only do podcasts with this man right here. I also do my own streams with video games.
It's not true. It's
Silent
just
Hill.
Me and him. It's just
Silent
me and him.
Hill. Silent Hill. Stellar Blade.
Half the channel.
What is the other freaking? What's the third game I'm playing? I completely forgot. Oh, Liza P.
Shell Shock
I
Live.
sometimes play Liza. I sometimes play a Soul games. There is
Pandemic. He plays Pandemic a lot.
No, I actually don't. There is a video of Shell Shock. I don't know why it's on my channel, but I found it last week. I forgot what it was. I think you were in it. So there's another video with his presence in it. Other than the podcast, it's mostly just my channel.
The
podcast is a dual ownership. The channel itself, though, is mine.
Okay, you can pretend. You can pretend that it's your channel. I won't get in the way. I won't get in your way. You can pretend, Jeremy.
I put most of the content on here. This is all my content.
Okay.
The only content that has dual ownership is
everybody clap and tell Jeremy he did a good job.
I'm gonna shank him later. Also, the one freaking there is like I did something with Kage, but that was years ago. We still have never finished that playthrough. I keep talking about it like I'm gonna complete that. I'm not. I don't know why I keep talking about it. I guess it's just I miss doing things like that. Who the hell? Oh, these are lifetime subscribers. That's strange. Huh. I don't know who that one subscriber is. Oh, Lazarus on there on that list. That's cool. Right now, I'm just like in here looking at things. I'm not talked to Tysonius in years before I continue. All right. Yeah, My Hero Academia. This is an interesting episode. For me, I actually ultimately like Bakugo as a character. I think he's complex enough for it to me. Is like that. What makes him is really cool. In this episode, basically, he gets to pretty much it's interesting in an interesting way of a few things kind of happen to him where he gets to save his hero. Also, apparently, I guess I wasn't aware of this, and I guess it wasn't really explained all that well. You know that card we made fun of like the last 2 episodes that he was holding on to? That All Might card that he had when he was a little kid.
Yeah.
Apparently, he always carries that on him, and I don't think that was really explained. It just kind of just showed up in his hand, but he's always carried that with him. Like apparently, I think that was his most prized possession, and like it meant a lot to him to be able to pull that from the trading card game that he got that card from. Like that's kind of like, I guess sweet. I guess for without a better term for it, that he was holding on to
maybe wholesome.
Yeah, I guess wholesome, like that he held on to his favorite hero's card all that time. I don't know why that wasn't totally explained all that well. I think maybe they were trying to explain that in the finale of last season where, he was like having that really weird fever dream when he was looking at the vestige of All Might and telling him that he wanted him to sign that card. I don't think that was explained that well, but apparently I think that was what the card was about. I wasn't even aware of that. But I don't think it was done it probably was done way better in the manga than here. Oh, speaking of the manga, something that was kind of irritating me a little bit. Well, not irritating me, but it was I was very it caught my attention, and we didn't talk about it last time.
Uh-huh.
During All Might's background, his little backstory that they gave, which wasn't really much at all, a nothing burger. Um, his mother, I was very confused considering that how kind of just random she showed up in there in a background as just part of his backstory. It wasn't even explained. That was like, I mean, you could tell that was his mother, but she didn't really
Yeah.
do or say much. Apparently she was not in the manga. I think that was added
She was
into the
hot.
manga. I mean, she was added into the anime. Yeah, a lot of people said she was hot. Yeah, she was attractive.
And
It was really weird.
that's the best boob All Might has ever put his lips on. I'll tell you that for sure, because I'm pretty sure All Might is a virgin.
Don't know why that has to. Don't know why that matters. Like at all.
What? What?
If he's a virgin.
Why not? It's good, right?
I don't know why that matters.
It's just saying, like, if you had to count all the boobs that All Might's put his lips on, it's one, but it's a real good pair, you know?
Who's to say that he wasn't in bed with Midnight?
Because he wasn't. She's
You
out of his
you
league.
don't know that. Wow, that. No, I'll go.
Maybe,
I will go on a
he would be-
tangent. I will go on a tangent, but out of league, and how that irritates me. But I'm not gonna.
like, he'd have to, like, it would have to be somebody kind of, like, a little bit, like, homely that, like, would be the one he'd end up with. Like, maybe, like, Uraraka, you know, someone that's not that good looking.
I would leave.
Inko Midoriya.
I can leave this podcast.
Inko Midoriya would be a good one. Midoriya's mom would be a good one. Maybe he's the father.
No, he's not. I mean, that was already confirmed. Deku's father has a flamethrower quirk. That was said many, many moons ago. I don't know where his father is.
It would almost be sad if it was Midnight that had sex with him. Like, that would be so obviously a pity fuck, where she's just like, she met him in a bar one day and he's like, I'm never gonna get laid. I've saved the world so many times and nobody's ever gonna get. I'm never gonna get
You
laid.
know what? All you're doing right
And
now
Midnight
is
was
making
like,
me want to watch
and then Midnight would be
Vigilante,
like,
and that's probably what I'm going to do after this is over.
Midnight would have been just like, come here, baby. Let's just don't worry about it.
I think it's
I'll help
disrespectful
you
to
out.
Midnight.
No, it's not. I mean, she's just sexually, like, open, and she's just like, you know what? It's not that big of a deal to me. It's a big deal to you. I'll help you out. Don't worry about it, honey. Like, this is on me. That's the only way I can picture, like, All Might getting laid. If Midnight was just like, fine, like, look, come here, babe. Let's get this out of your system. Or if it was,
Midnight
or if he's
died
Midoriya.
single. I'm pretty sure she died a virgin. If you want to play that freaking card, I'm almost certain she died. And I say that
Midnight
because
died a virgin.
Yes, because she's way too open about it. She is way too. That doesn't scream of a woman who's actually had sex. Because she's way too open. And you
Is
know
this
what
like
I'm
a
saying?
contest to see who has the hottest of all takes? Because I think you just won if that was the case. That's
No,
a
I believe this
pretty
because this
hot-ass
is
take
one
right
of
there.
this is one of the things I truly believe. You can probably hear in my voice. If a woman who's really attractive is single and she seems way too ready and able, something's wrong with her. Like, I truly believe that.
Well, on the other side, like,
if she's really that attractive and she's still single, something's wrong, and it ain't with her looks. Something happened in the relationship.
she's at least been with a girl.
No, I mean, even with that, I think she's way too open. I'm pretty sure she's.
She's at least been with a girl.
I gotta watch Vigilante because apparently some of her backstory gets revealed in there, and I really want to see, along with Stain. Apparently, Stain's backstory is talked about in Vigilante. I actually want to see that, considering that Stain died here. We'll never get to see any of that. And apparently, Eraserhead shows up in there too, which I want to see. I feel like that's insulting to both All Might and freaking Midnight. Telling me that was pity sex. That's horrible.
You know what would be funny? Fan fiction of Kendo giving a hand job.
I'm pretty sure that freaking exists. Why are you saying things that you obviously know Rule 34 is taken care of?
Well, I'll see.
I'm almost
Kendo,
certain they've done. Why are you putting that in your search history?
My Hero Academia. Oh crap! I have to. I didn't write the word porn in
Also,
yet.
Uraraka and All Might, that's pedophilia. That's not even borderline
Why?
pedophilia. All Might's 15. She's like 16 or 17? That's pedophilia.
All right, that's fair. Surprisingly, there's a lot of porn of her so far, but I had nothing with her with big hands. It's all like just nudes of her without big hands.
You're looking in the wrong area. You need to find the comics. Not that I know anything. I'm just saying that if there
There's
is,
even one where she gives. There's even one where she's giving a hand job, but she's not with big hands. What's the point of drawing her giving someone a hand job if she's just gonna have a normal size hand?
some people think she's hot.
They just without the hands, she's just sort of a redhead. Like there's nothing
And some people
really
find
stand
that
out about her.
attractive. I don't think there's such thing as a big hand kink. I think you're looking
She's
for
giving
something.
someone.
I think there's something.
She's giving someone a boob job.
So I'm just saying there's no such. As far as I know, there's no such thing as a big hand kink, because I don't think you can actually legitimately have big hands in real life.
Yeah, I don't think you need a specific kink for like a one-off like that. Like
No, I think
I
you
just
do.
the idea like if you have someone that has giant hands, like then like do like that's actually a pretty good Uraraka porn video image right there. If you she's kind of hot in that one. The idea is that it's just that's her thing is big hands. So like why would you not use her big hands in some fun pornographic way if you were going to make porn of her? Here's a foot fetish of her, but not like and here's one where she has a penis.
Not everybody finds her hands attractive, or they want her hands that big. I suspect that's probably all
But
that really is.
just like
Why do you gotta have her? Why is it gotta be big
draw
hands?
someone else. Draw someone else if you're gonna like do a redhead. There's plenty of attractive redheads. It just
No,
doesn't
people
make sense
want
to.
kendo. People want kendo. Why they gotta be judged for wanting kendo?
I don't know. I just feel like you. Oh my god, that's a terrible one. And she very much had a penis in that one. It's just big old sloppy, hanging ball sack and thick old bobbin penis.
What you're looking for is a fuda.
with
She is a fuda.
with red pubic hair.
She is a fuda in that particular image. I will not explain how I know that.
There's some good bondage of the girl that steals your blood.
I am not surprised that there's bondage of her.
That makes sense. She would fit the bondage like.
But she listen to all that. I mean, I don't. What should we saying this? These are kids. What am I saying? I'm getting out of here. I'm jumping out of this. I don't know why I let you lead me into this.
Bondage with someone that like could kill you if they got loose is kind of sexy. That's all I'm saying.
I will shame people if they actually get off on that because it's like, why? I don't understand why you get off on somebody trying to kill you.
Well, just it would add an edge to the bondage to know that if this person ever breaks free, I'm dead. But right now, I'm completely in complete control.
Who's to say she's the one that's being bound? Sometimes in those bondage things, the person who's getting off is the one that's bound.
Yeah, I know.
What? Why don't you bring it back in? Okay, back to the episode, please.
I'm just trying to find some big hand porn here. It doesn't exist, which is stupid to me that I found like at least 70 images of her and counting. Like there's no shortage so far of her naked. And not one person thought of a way to use her hands to do something sexy.
Why is it that, or like, why are you focused on her hands? I really do think that's gotta be a kink. It's like, I mean, I'm not here shaming kinks. You know, it sounded like I was just earlier. All I'm really saying is that if they find Kendo attractive, it doesn't matter if she's using her quirk. At least in my opinion, if you find her cute or attractive, it shouldn't even matter if she's using her quirk.
I mean, the stupid thing, in my opinion, about what you're saying is you're like, well, there's no big hand fetish. But like, if you look up Froppy, she is doing all sorts of things with her super long tongue.
I would put that
like, there's no such thing as no such thing as a 6 foot long tongue fetish either. But like,
no, but that's not.
They found a way to make it work.
I don't think that's what that qualifies for. I've recently learned in years, amongst the furry community, there's a subsection of people that are into reptiles. uh,
Uh-huh.
are amphibious creatures. I
You're saying that if I
suspect
look up
that.
spinner, I'm gonna find tons of spinner form porn?
I don't know. Why would you want to look that up?
This is just hypothetical at this point.
I don't know why you're asking me the question. That
Because you said there's people are into reptile porn, so I was like, well, that would, by that logic, spinner, who is a reptile, would would be a
now
big
you said that there probably is.
porn focus in My Hero.
I don't know why people would, whatever. I already said they people into reptiles. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I feel like Kendo. I don't know why specifically you like why, because she has the ability to make her hands bigger, that she needs to have that being done in a dojin or whatever like that, or a porn comic. It feels like it's like I feel like that's just really random. And on top of that, regardless of how I feel, if that was even though that was the case, I don't know if there's anybody out there looking for Kendo to give a hand job with her inflated hands. On top of that, remember correctly, don't her hands like become way too insanely big? Like, there's no real legitimate way that her hands, logistically speaking, I don't know how big her hands can get, but it's like no. If they're as big as I'm thinking, there's no logistical way she could wrap her hand around somebody. Like the person that she'd be doing that with would have to have
I don't
the
know if
ability.
necessarily even a hand job would have been like the thing, but I would have thought somebody would have had some fun thing that she could have done with her hand. That's all I'm saying. Like that there must have been some pornographic thing that somebody could have come up with, but I was disappointed to find out that there wasn't.
I bet if you were to dig further, I'm not encouraging this, but I bet if you were to dig further, you'd really find something.
Oh yeah, there's tons of spinner. Oh my god, it's really disturbing.
You can't really be
I
shocked.
can't. Yeah, but this like what's happening in these is awful.
But you can't really be shocked. And I just said roll 34. Like, what did you not understand about that?
This is bad. I can't stop looking. It's like watching like a car accident. It's oh my
This is
god.
roll 34 at
Is that
work.
a Powerpuff Girl? Jesus Christ.
What is... No, don't even ask that question. Still, roll 34 at work. There's another roll too, where gender bend characters. But roll 34, you think that's bad? Look up some of this freaking stuff that he's seen of like Kats, Bakugo, and Deku, and some of the stuff I've seen. They're both boys, but there's also been some stuff where Deku's a woman, and there's also been some stuff where.
Oh yeah, this spinner's definitely got a vagina in a couple of these.
Okay, so the gender bend spinner. Okay, I'm just saying, like, there's, I don't know, like that's not really shocking. But back to Kendo, is like, if there is some of that stuff out there with her hands inflated, I don't know, like honestly, I file that under, I don't know how you get off on that, because like I file that under the same thing of people who are into like smegma. Not gonna go into that. But I don't know how people are into that. It's just one of those things. It's probably not the right word. Just I'm thinking about like situations and those stuff like where, well, this is stuff I've seen. The woman is taking a dump, and it's all over the person she's on top of. But regardless, I don't know how people can find that attractive.
There's even I'm not even gonna say what I just found. Never mind. It's too you wouldn't even be comfortable with that in your podcast. But there's some I've seen some things in this last 5 minutes.
Lord help us all. Okay, back to the episode. I was on.
You know when I'm censoring myself that it's bad. That's all I'm saying.
But basically, Bakugo saved All Might in this episode, and I guess I'm gonna talk about small bits and pieces that I enjoyed. The art, for instance, I wasn't aware of this, but apparently, there's an artist who came from another studio, and apparently, and I'm in the process of watching One Piece, but apparently his artwork is all over One Piece when it comes to a certain part of the story. And I'm actually very excited to see it for the first time. I'm just gonna say anyway. In One Piece, there's a moment. There's a moment in there where Luffy, the main character, is fighting a really powerful foe, and for the most of the series up to this point, when Luffy had been using his powers, usually whenever he like reached the limit, at least reached the limit that he has, you know, from going from full charge to empty, and he has to like he has to sit out and, you know, for a few minutes to recharge to land like one more final blow. Usually that's about it. He just lands one more final blow. But there's a moment, because I read the manga when it happened, there's a moment in the manga and that apparently before this point he had fought another enemy on another country that was like, you know, lying to its people and controlling them with their string ability. And the guy had revealed to Luffy that in this world, devil fruits, the power base for like power users in that universe. Basically, at some point, it's possible, it's rare, but at some point, your powers could just completely awaken and basically allow you to do things that you couldn't do at first. Basically, letting the fruit gives you all the powers that it had the ability to give you at first, but didn't. It's called an awakening. He gives this information out, and it's clear to the reader. Okay, so either he's gonna get the awakening at some point later on in the story, or somebody else is gonna get it on his crew. Well, cut to the arc that I'm talking about. He ends up fighting this guy, and he has an awakening during his fight, and it happens like when he uses all his abilities at once. And basically, I wasn't aware. I kept on hearing that apparently the animation on that episode was freaking insane. I didn't know, and I didn't have any basis for it. But the guy I think animating that show, something happened with him and Toei, and he just left. Apparently, I'm hearing that he either left or got fired, but I'm hearing that apparently this guy is working on the final season of My Hero Academia. Like he was brought in to help with animating it.
Uh-huh.
Some of these scenes I'm seeing, especially with here, look insane. So I'm curious. Is like, okay, so this is his work. What is that gonna look like in One Piece? And I'm very excited, but I'm so freaking far away from wherever it's supposed to show up. I'm very excited to see it when I finally see it. But if I'm getting a taste of his animation style, this is impressive, and he should have his own studio.
Oh wow.
That's how good this freaking stuff is, in my opinion. He's a really good animator. It's ridiculous. Apparently he only left or got fired by Toei because he had made mention that somewhere along the line the sound effects staff over there were slacking, and I'm guessing Toei didn't like that. Obviously, like I didn't know there was an animator that good running around. It was like, to me, it's like, this is really good animation. This is like, I will say, I think this season, and I think a lot of people agree with this might be the best season My Hero's had, at least in my opinion.
Or animation quality.
When they're just in general, I actually like them. I'm liking everything so far. I like all 3 episodes. I don't really have many complaints, if any, but I really do like. I think this is by far one of the best, one of the cooler seasons in my opinion. So far, it's like this Bakugo scene, which is impressive, and the lighting's off the freaking chart. Though I have an HDR monitor, so it probably looks way more illuminated than most people's monitors do. But I will say I love the scene where like Bakugo, it's like they pick up right after he wakes up and he just looks down at Deku, and all with no words, he just rockets off the freaking the coffin towards Deku, and then Deku just starts swinging himself around, and it is like this, they just grab hands and Deku just shoots him towards All For One. That was really good. Like that was a really nicely animated, snappy animation that was like really freaking good. Like it was like,
yeah,
it was really well done. I love that it, you know, it basically all it took was a look at from one another, and it was like, let's do this, and then he just shoots off. I was speaking of animation quality, Bakugo's freaking explosions looked so much like fireworks the entirety of this episode. I don't know if that was on purpose or not.
That was absolutely on purpose.
But it was awesome looking. Like I never seen explosions of that. Like I guess pretty is, I guess a better way to put it. But also speaking when not Deku, but when Bakugo was rocketing towards All For One to save All Might, you noticed that like on the eye that he had closed at first, and then he opened it up, and then like the spark that came off of that eye was like yellow and then turned green, and then it flickered from green to the rainbow, whatever that was going on over there. It was a very,
I saw that.
it was really cool because it was, I guess it was like kind of like how Deku coming along with Bakugo to save All Might. But I also love the he was having, as he was racing to save him, he was having his flashback of like when he had fought Deku seriously for the first time, and he was like wondering why he had to be the one to end All Might. But I thought that was a really nice. They did that really well. Like, you just saw that, you know, he was thinking about this as he was racing to save his hero, and it ends up saving his hero. But not only saving his hero, blasting the arms off All For One. Like, I know that was probably just an after effect of him grabbing him so fast, but it was still awesome to see because everyone wasn't expecting it.
It was such a power play.
It was like, "Give me him!" And I was like, "Jeez!" Blasted his arms right off. Blasted his arm meat right off his arms. I was like, "Dang!" And off one still regenerated, but it was one of those. It was like, I think that was probably one of the first bits of actual damage done to him. That actually, I don't know if they regenerated him. I don't think he regenerated to younger. I think after Bakugo essentially melted his face near the end of the episode was when he reverted to younger because he flipped out on Bakugo because Bakugo. I guess we didn't talk about this when it was happening, but Bakugo has like strange resemblance to the second holder, which is weird. But I remember just, I guess I can lay the cards on the table. I knew Bakugo didn't die when he got impaled. I knew about the confrontation between him and All For One, but I don't know how it ends. So thank you, Google, from like 1 to 2 years ago. I blame you. But I knew about the confrontation. I didn't say anything. A part of me thinks you kind of already knew, but you didn't pry, which I'm grateful for.
Yeah, I like to be surprised. I didn't want to.
But I think you probably knew. A part of you was thinking, like, he probably knows something he's not telling me. Like, yeah.
I knew that you'd be a lot more upset if he was actually dead. Let me put it that way.
Honestly, and this is the truth of the matter, I forgot that Bakugo had died because this is the thing. When I found out those years ago, I knew I was gonna forget. Like, I knew I was gonna immediately forget or something like that. At some point, I was gonna completely forget that it even happened. So when it freaking happened, or it was getting it to the point when he was about to get impaled, that's when everything kind of came back, flooding back to me. So apparently, I have those memories in the back of my brain, and it takes something to bring them forward. But but yeah, I knew immediately. Oh, dang it! I knew about this. Shoot. And honestly, I was more upset that I knew because I feel like that would have been more impactful to me. That's a legitimate upset that I knew ahead of time because of Google. I hate that because Google knows what I'm watching. I don't know any way to combat that in the future when it comes to shows I'm watching. So far, it hasn't done that to Rurouni Kenshin for me, but I guess I know more about Rurouni Kenshin. I'm not that upset about anything. But I don't know why he does that for My Hero. I really don't know why he does that for My Hero. But and I know about something else that I'm not gonna, that I'm not gonna say.
I found one with her hands where they use her big hand.
I told you it existed. I don't know why you kept on looking.
It's her with the giant girl.
You know what? That makes sense. And I'm mad I didn't think about her.
Oh my god, it makes sense, but I never would have thought about it. But somebody did, apparently.
I don't tell you, they had to exist. I just wouldn't understand why that's hot.
I'm sorry I cut you off. It was more unwilling blurt than an intentional cutting you off. Go ahead with what you were saying. I'm sorry.
I don't know what I was saying. What happened? I was in the
rewind the podcast.
I can't do that live. I can't do that live. I know something about Bakugo, but I completely forgot something else. Oh no,
you were talking about how you knew he wasn't dead. Yeah, you knew he wasn't dead.
I knew some things. I know another thing I'm not gonna say anything about. I'm gonna wait. For one, I will say that much. I don't know what happens at the end of the Bakugo and All For One fight. Based on the freaking preview, it looks like he may win. But I knew Bakugo wasn't dead. I also knew that Bakugo was supposed to save All Might. I just didn't know I didn't understand when those words were in front of me that was what that meant. I was under the impression that maybe that Bakugo was gonna kill him. I don't know, so I don't know what happens at the end of that fight. I don't know what happens at the end of the other fight that they have going on. So there's also some prizes for me. I managed to steer pretty clear of a lot of huge spoilers beyond Bakugo. I'm really surprised.
That's good. You usually can't help yourself.
It's not me. It's freaking Google. Like it just plants something in front of me. I don't go looking for it. It's like I go for the news, and then the news just like happens to be that's one of the freaking top things that they want to show me. I don't tell Google to do any of this; it just does. That's what I'm saying. I know it's listening to me, and I hate that. Um, but back to the anime. Really good episode. I love that Bakugo got a chance to save all his hero, and then on top of that, something I wasn't aware of until I watched it again, and then I watched a few other reactors react to this episode, and then somebody brought up an interesting point that I wasn't even thinking about when like All Might had like called Bakugo over to give him the splint on his arm, and it kind of makes the
Uh-huh.
smile that he has afterward make way more sense. I mean, it makes sense before, but it makes way. It's kind of more. It's like it's like, oh, that's kind of sweet, but All Might pretty much gave Bakugo something because he couldn't give him the quirk. He gave like basically one of the things like Bakugo had been complaining about with Deku was the fact that All Might didn't acknowledge him, or even though he was also his biggest fan, All Might didn't encourage him or stuff like that, or train him. Even that's what Bakugo wanted. It was Deku that got all that acknowledgement. But now it's like he's got the acknowledgement from All Might now here to fight All for One. And on top of that, All Might, like Bakugo can also get revenge on All for One because All for One caused him a lot of pain just months ago with him being
Yeah.
kidnapped. What I think is also kind of cool too is like Bakugo gets to like he gets to get all his his coming ups basically in a confrontation with All for One. Now I don't know if he's going to um if he's I'll back up really quick. Speaking about the Bakugo resurrection, um I didn't know that apparently like a few things. Um Apparently his own quirk woke him jumpstart his heart. But it was interesting. I never thought that an explosion in his heart muscle caused him to wake back up. I'm guessing because his body is used to the explosions. I guess
Uh-huh.
that's was like the sweat was like his body knew exactly what to do to wake him up. What I thought was kind of interesting and kind of cool. But also tacking onto that, I remember there was a huge like uprising, well, not uprising, but like a huge there was like a huge outcry from people who I don't know exactly what the problem was, but some people didn't like something that happened during this war, and it happened to I think it happened to center around Bakugo's resurrection. I couldn't tell you what it was because at first I thought maybe it was about his resurrection, but at the same time I'm like, it kind of makes sense in this regard. Like Ed Shot sewed him up, and because he wasn't able to bring him back, his body did the heavy lifting. Um, I guess at the same time, like I guess if this was the people had a problem with, I don't know. I could see his quirk waking him up. I think Bakugo's quirk is probably the only one that would make sense in that regard. Like I can't see anybody else's quirk doing that.
Waking them up from the dead, basically.
Yeah, if there had to be a quirk that did that, I think Bakugo's quirk probably makes the most sense.
To
So that's kind
flood
of
his body with fire? Like it's kind of a weird. That's a weird take in my
I don't know.
opinion.
That's fire. I kept on thinking about how you consider. I don't think Bakugo like it's just explosive force. He doesn't like he just ignites. He just causes things to explode. He doesn't really do anything. It's kind of like I guess you consider fire. I don't know. I don't know what kind of like empath he would be. Like I don't know if pyro is it pyrokinetic? I'm thinking. I don't think pyrokinetic is what Bakugo is. Like Endeavor for sure, but I don't know if like he.
No, he's not pyrokinetic. He doesn't control fire with his mind. He can just make fire explode strategically.
I don't know if that's fire though. Like I'm legitimately saying I don't think that's fire. I don't know what it is. It just could be energy, but I don't know if that's fire. Cause like TNT doesn't explode into fire. Like it starts with fire, but it definitely doesn't end in fire.
Yeah.
Like dynamite doesn't do that. It's just like I just don't know. I don't think that's fire. That's what I'm saying. Like even with the whole idea, it's like I don't think Bakugo's a fire hero. Like close enough, but I don't think he's really a fire hero. But with that, I didn't know exactly what people were upset with. And I could probably look it up at the end of all this to figure out what people were really upset about. But I was half expecting to see it when I was watching reviews, maybe. there's still one like reactor I haven't seen yet. I don't know when he's gonna upload his reaction with his crew. I'm hoping tomorrow so I can just to watch it. But I was hoping to get it today, but apparently he didn't upload. But I don't know what they're gonna say. So he also didn't believe Bakugo was dead either, but he didn't know that. So I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Like, I really would like to know like why people were upset. What were people upset with? It could be either this or it could be possibly that Bakugo does take out All for One. So what I want to say, I think how Bakugo does do it. I don't think he actually kills him. I think what actually happens is that Bakugo cause he can like Endeavor and Dark Shadow, which is kind of funny that in an off tangent. All for One says that Bakugo ain't really all that much of concern. He doesn't have the force or the power that Endeavor or Dark Shadow have, which would make me concerned. I like that he confirmed that Dark Shadow was a problem. I was kind of curious about that, but I wasn't sure. But like how Endeavor can engulf, because he showed it. He straight up engulfed All for One in flame and nearly killed him. So like it's kind of cool that like at least Bakugo can in fact engulf him in explosions, like the cause him an issue. So I suspect what's gonna really happen, he's gonna keep exploding on him, which sounds really wrong in hindsight. He's gonna blow up his body. That's the better way to put it. He's gonna continuously blow up his body to the point where he keeps on rewinding, and like he'll probably get near All for One being like maybe 5 years old, and then like possibly something else is gonna happen and it's gonna take All for One's life completely out. Like Bakugo isn't gonna be the one to destroy him, but he'll get him near it. He'll probably be the hero that gets closer to it. At least that's my suspicion. There's also Lady Nagant's still around and she's kicking. We see her on a building after being knocked out, and she wakes up and is just in time for Bakugo's explosion star that she can see from very far away.
Lady Nagant is the sniper one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I think that she's, for someone like her, she's in range to be relevant right now. Like I could see her like having an assist play. As a matter of fact, I'm almost positive she's going to have an assist of some type, where she gets involved and takes a shot right now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think Bakugo's going to be the one. He'll do a lot of damage, that's for sure, because he's showing that he can. In fact, he did at the end of the episode. He completely overwhelmed him with a bunch of explosions, and it caused him to be in a building, freaking out, looking much younger than he was before.
Yeah.
So like we know that Bakugo has the ability to engulf him in his own power, but I don't think it's gonna be enough to take him out. I just think it's gonna be enough to like send him into a point where maybe Nagant can just shoot him one time and that just ends him. Either that, or what's gonna happen is that Bakugo's going to get him near to when he's gonna disappear, but then he just says, "I gotta get out of here. I gotta get to Tomura. I gotta do this right now," because like he's losing his ground, which I find interesting and I find really cathartic, because like up to this point, All for One has been like too many steps ahead. I think I brought up how annoying I thought that was many podcasts ago. But it's kind of cool to see All for One like.
You thought that you're annoyed that who is 2 steps ahead?
All for One. Like I thought it was.
Oh yeah, he's like he's gonna be like that through the whole thing, except now he's done with all his steps. This is his end game, and it's not working out the way he thought, so he's out of steps now. And he's not going to be 2 steps ahead of anyone. He'll be able to. As a matter of fact, you're seeing him like very reactive and getting a little desperate, even, don't you think?
Oh no, I know that's what I was saying. It's like it's nice to see.
You know what's weird about this is Shigaraki. I feel like if he gets there, Shigaraki could just kick his ass, honestly, because Shigaraki's doing much better at fighting than he is. He's been just taking hits and running and taking hits and running, and I know he's in a rush and all, but like he has no answer for like defending himself. Every single time it seems like he's surprised, and they do max damage to him. I feel like this would never happen with Shigaraki. The Shigaraki is like fighting much more skillfully and much more resourcefully than, given that all of his quirks are shut off and he's still holding his own against the greatest hero of all time in the making. You know what I mean?
No, I don't think his quirks are shut off. I think he hasn't.
Eraserhead. Oh, that's right. Eraserhead's gone now, right?
Well, he ain't there, but the kid that was staring at him shut his eyes, and then that's when Shigaraki just went boom, everything around
But
him.
like the whole team got together and put this huge plan together to take him out, and they can't take him out. Like they haven't even done significant damage to him. Like he's perfectly fine, and everybody's been hitting him as hard as they can with every preparation possible at the same time to make that happen, and they still can't make it happen. And here we have All for One, who hasn't really been facing anyone more than like one at a time. And every single time everyone takes a shot at him, it lands and does like significant damage. I know because he's got the reversal thing going on, but like he's like losing momentum so fast, and Shigaraki hasn't really. Shigaraki's about the same as when he started this fight. I don't know like what they expect. I don't know what All for One thinks he's going to do when he gets there. I get that he's desperate. He has no other backup plan now because he's already started that rewind. But like, what?
Wants to fuse. That's his ultimate.
He wants to fuse. Yeah, that's like all he has left right now because he's left with no other options because he turned on rewind. But like, he's losing power fast, and when he gets there, I feel like Shigaraki can take him. So I don't know what his plan is because Shigaraki is probably more powerful than him at this point.
I mean, it depends if Shigaraki doesn't already have something like loyalty to him still, because I suspect he probably will. But I will say, with Shigaraki, speaking of Shigaraki, I didn't even get you to say this. I'm glad you brought this up. I find it funny that really the main person that's causing his plans to unravel is his protege. Shigaraki is not giving a two F's about his plan. He's just doing his own thing. I mean, that was proven. That was proven when All One was trying to teleport him, and then Shigaraki said, "Stay out of it," and shut it down. Like like that was proven at that point. I just find it funny that the guy he has been training and grooming to be his body successor, literally not only has overcome the All for One he put in his brain to overcome him, he also overcame the freaking real deal original. Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of that has to do with the fact that All for One isn't perfect anymore. He's not in his adult age, but maybe there's some like restrictions to his body that he didn't have before. If that was the case, but even with that, I was maybe Shigaraki's kind of had a persona this entire time that's kind of just been too strong. Even like back when he was just a minimum player, you know, when before All for One got his grasp on him and whatever. But don't take that back. Not before he got his grasp, like when, you know, back when the All Might was taking on that one Nomu that apparently I haven't seen yet and apparently is still in jail somewhere. I have no idea. But back when like when he was back then, he was still kind of like a little kid in an adult's body. Whereas even then, I'm pretty sure there was a strong personality there, but it took cultivating, and he gave Shigaraki kind of self-worth, really weirdly. But because of that, he gave him extra power, and not only that, cultivated him even further to the point that he's at right now, where he can literally shut down warp, which I didn't think was possible. It's the way that warp worked. At least that particular warp worked. It made it look like it was forced. Every time it worked, so I'm surprised that he managed to shut it down. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe I guess if they were to say that Shigaraki would probably kill him, if that's how that works, and like maybe Bakugo like really overwhelms All for One because like it's made almost really clear really quickly that Bakugo might actually be quicker than All for One, which caught him off guard. Which I guess another thing too with All for One, I think a part of the bigger issue isn't just the planning that he did. All for One underestimates a lot of the people that he had one-on-ones with. And it's so detrimental that he underestimates them. He wasn't expecting Endeavor to do what he did, especially with one hand gone. He wasn't expecting Endeavor to nearly kill him, but he did anyway. Like Endeavor literally for when everything was ready to kill himself. But he wasn't expecting Endeavor to do what he did there. And then he had to use rewind much earlier than he probably was intending to. Like maybe he was intending to use it much later. Like maybe when he fought when he was going to be fighting Deku or somebody, maybe he was intending to use it there. But unfortunately, Endeavor forced his hand, and then after that, after All for One pretty much overwhelmed everybody else, he started having fights with the people, and as he started noticing, he started becoming younger. And then All Might noticed what was going on too, and realized that okay, my presence could probably hinder him more than he would think. And Endeavor showed that I mean Endeavor, but All for One showed that like he knew what was happening, but he didn't care because he thought he could take out the garbage per se.
He was a little cocky, perhaps.
He was way too cocky when he
Yeah.
was fighting All Might, and then All Might did way more damage to him, not only physically but psychologically.
Yeah, he fell for the bait. Like he thought it was like gonna be super easy to do it, and All Might never goes down easy, I don't think. I think he's too experienced of a hero. If he has something he can use, he's gonna use it.
I think that's why
But
he did do much of damage he did, because he definitely had the experience fighting him. Um, after that, after he managed to overwhelm All Might, after Stain got involved and he pulled his trap card. I still think that was so dumb that he had the ability to expel all his blood, and then not only that, rewind his DNA.
uh-huh.
I hate
I feel
that.
like there could have been other ways he got out of trouble that wouldn't have been so stupid, you know. I feel like they didn't have to use that specific one.
I think it
But
fit all his agenda too well, because he was like, I think I managed to survive this long without blood being anywhere. I guess it's a good it's like a good question. Like, you think people would have like, All for One up to this point was a story, a boogeyman,
uh-huh.
but nobody thought he existed. So it was like, that was, I guess, part of it. It's like, as long as there's no way for them to tell that I exist, I can remain in the shadows as a puppet master. But then again, underestimating people. Again, he did, even though he should have known better at this point when he was messing with Bakugo.
Uh-huh.
Underestimating people. And not only did he underestimate Bakugo, he pissed him off. Yeah, it's like, to me that was beautiful. Like to me, that like the conversation, regardless how people feel, I think the conversation between him and Bakugo was awesome. And on top of that, it's even cooler to think that like Shigaraki, back when he was possessed by All for One for a little bit, there was a moment again where he looked at him, and then Bakugo was kind of overwhelming him. But what happened is that he had a flashback trying to figure out like why Bakugo was irritating him so much. But that was just inside Tomoe Shigaraki. And then Bakugo did it again by outpacing him, and then brought up the memories of All for One and his past with the second user of One for All. And pretty much after Bakugo completely sends him detonating into a building, All for One kind of comes out unhinged now, really pissed, very upset. Needs his blankie. Very upset. Yells at Bakugo, calls him Kudo. Is like, it's all your fault, Kudo. If it wasn't for
What is
you.
Yeah. He thinks he's more scary at that point than All Might's ever been, which was pretty impressive.
I think a part of that just had to do with all for One's emotional state, which I will say, based off what I saw in the preview, it looks like we're gonna get a backstory on All for One next episode.
Yeah, which I guess
Why you sound disappointed?
it's because it's not like something I really cared about. I don't care. I like him as a child isn't like a big deal to me. In fact, I liked him better as just a simple villain without that level of complication.
I guess. I mean, I'm more interested to find out if maybe he was the first child born with a power. I'm pretty sure they're not gonna. I mean, I think I'm gonna be realistic. There's no way they're gonna reveal that.
Don't you, I mean, I don't know. I would have been more. I just was in the mood to like see some straight up winning and fighting, and I'm not in the mood to build empathy for this character.
I don't think this
Does
is
that make
supposed to.
sense?
I get that, but I don't think this is supposed to build empathy. They can still do backstory on the character. You can still hate him. There's no real reason. Like
Yeah.
I came out of Overhaul, like still hating him. I think even in fact, I think I hated him more by the after his backstory showed up.
Yeah, yeah, but this one looks a little more sympathetic. It looks like a tale of two brothers and shit, and like
But
I don't know.
here's how I can wing this for you, so at least that way it doesn't make you want to feel bad for him. I think this is just more of a story of like how he viewed everything, because it's very clear with how much hatred he has towards the second user of all people. Because he didn't have this much hate towards Nana, and any other characters that wielded One for All. I don't think they made mention that All for One was. Well, I mean, they never would have mentioned he was this angry, but it seems really interesting in any of the stuff we've seen, especially with Nana. He didn't seem all that upset with her when he was killing her. But
Uh-huh.
like for whatever reason, Kudo seems to be the one person that brings out emotion with him. Um, but I kind of would like to just. I mean, did I need this? No, of course not. But it's cool that it's here. It's probably not gonna be all that long. I suspect it's gonna probably be a quick one shot to one shot of like him as a child and him discovering his powers, him becoming a villain, his brother showing that he had no powers for some strange reason other than the one power he did have, which led to One for All. But and then like what led because I forgot what killed his brother. According to Kudo, he killed him. All for One killed him. I don't know what that means. I completely forget. I don't know what context they even supposed to mean. Uh, I suspect really what's gonna happen is gonna be like how One for All ended up hating. I mean, how All for One hated One for All, basically, or something like that, or hating the users. Because
I don't know, because it looks like it goes all the way back to his childhood.
yeah, it can begin there because I mean, it's like it shows that maybe All for One had feelings for his brother. Maybe he didn't genuinely love him. So a lot of us can assume that it's probably fake. I don't know, but it's one of those things. Again, doesn't I mean I'm not disagreeing with you that it's not necessary. Yeah, we could have went on and One for All could have just disappeared and that was it. But like, maybe it's padding. I hope it's not padding. But, I'm surprised to see that. Well, no, I'm not gonna do that yet. I was going to see like maybe if is backstory in the manga. It may not be. Who knows? Um, it'll be interesting, at least for me in general. I don't suspect it's gonna be all that long. They only got like 24 minutes, 25 minutes. I don't think it's gonna be that long. Because there's also an image of like Deku, but Bakugo about to prepare for a Howlers or Impact,
Hmm.
which I'm very excited to see what that's gonna look like, considering that we haven't seen him use that move in a while. So, considering what the power up that he's got now, it's probably gonna be. I mean, it's probably not gonna be any more complicated than more bigger explosions. But I want to dream. I want to see like how it will be animated. Um, but I guess speaking of the second user really quick. After Deku does send Bakugo flying to All for One, and basically All for One has this whole panic attack that because for whatever reason Bakugo looks like the second user, which I'm pretty sure this is more of a coincidence. They could probably tie it to reincarnation in that show, but I don't think it is. It's probably just a
Uh-huh.
really interesting coincidence that Bakugo has a has a resemblance to him. But Deku, after he threw him in there and he was doing Shigaraki, and Shigaraki, broke free of the whip, which was very weird because it looked like it didn't take him long. It didn't take much effort, almost like Shigaraki was just letting Deku hold on to him.
Uh-huh.
But what was interesting is that like Deku, after using second gear, was it second gear? I forgot the name of the gear shift on Bakugo to send him flying. Then because the second user says like if you use it again, you're gonna be done for. Deku makes a knowledge that after he uses it this time, he'll be immobilized after the fact. He doesn't have a way to deal with Shigaraki's ability to regenerate. I find it interesting.
Yeah.
He activates the second user's ability, and I guess it's kind of interesting that Deku's going to use the second's ability on Tomoe Shigaraki, and Bakugo's going to help and go and do some damage to All for One in the distance, and like both these abilities have a connect. But like this ability and Bakugo will have a connection. One more than the other have a connection to the second user. I thought it was kind of interesting, and also
Hmm.
the arm sprint that All Might gave Bakugo had his ability in it.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
It was even
There was a
cooler.
few. There was a few like levels of symbolism there. Like I think because like All Might, when he was picking his successor, he gave him his power. You know what I mean? Like he gave him a piece of his hair, and that represented his power, and then transferred his quirk over. And now his power is technology, and all he has left proportionately is like the equivalent of like a strand of his hair. Like what I mean? He's almost completely out of power. So I thought it was interesting that like he, in a sort of darker way, like gave a strand of his hair to Bakugo too. You know what I mean? In the form of his last little strand of power. He was like, I don't. It's not much, but this is what I've got, and it's for you. You know what I mean? And it was kind of like the same with Deku, where he's just like, here's everything I've got left. You know what I mean? And I'm passing it on to you. So it was sort of a secondary way to pass the torch on to Bakugo too. You know what I mean? Even though it wasn't the actual quirk, like that was what he had left of his power, and he gave it over. So I don't know. That was an interesting full circle for Bakugo, that he got to be the one that got the power this time, even if it was more just the legacy than the power in a symbolic way.
I like how you finally talked about it after I had brought it up minutes ago.
What?
I had brought up the whole I had brought up the whole him giving Bakugo something, kind of like how he kind of gave Deku something, because it like
I'm sorry.
that's like what he that's kind of like I at the end of that I was talking more about Bakugo's smile and all that, but like because like, it was a legitimately happy kid smile for the first time. It looked genuine. I'm not saying that Bakugo
Yeah.
never smiled genuinely, but it was probably like the happiest like we've seen him period in his entire
Yeah.
life, because like up to this point he had been blaming himself for All Might's retirement, though All Might already told him that it wasn't his fault, but like
Mm-hmm.
Bakugo still held on to that clearly when he was racing towards him. So it was cool that he got a chance to save his hero. Speaking of Bakugo,
Yeah. The other thing that I liked about that scene, it kind of this is way, I'm sure they did not have this in mind, but have you ever read the children's book, The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein?
I feel like I've had that read to me as a child, but I couldn't remember any of it. Yeah, I'm pretty
It's
sure I
about a
had that
boy in
read.
it's about a boy in a tree, and the tree like serves all these purposes. First, the boy climbs the tree, and then later the boy, like the tree gives the boy all, I'm sorry, then the tree like gives the boy shade, and he sits under the tree, and then the boy falls in love, and he carves his initials into the tree, and then the boy comes up as an adult, and the the tree says like, like he's like, I have a lot of great memories with you, tree, but like, I'm a businessman now. I don't have time for this. And the tree's like, well, sell my apples. And he gives him all his apples. And then the boy comes back, and he's like, I've made money, and I have a family now, and I'm building I need a house. And the tree says, well, cut me down and use my wood. And then he comes back as an old man to visit the tree one more time, and it's just a stump now. And the tree's like, I'm sorry, I don't have anything left for you anymore. And the old man says, like, well, it's okay. Like, at my age, all I care about is just a nice place to sit down. And then the tree's like, well, actually, I guess I do have something for you. Why don't you sit on me? And he sits on him, you know what I mean? And the Giving Tree is like a sweet but sort of a sad story too, you know what I mean? That like this tree just gave everything he could to this boy, and like had, complete personal sacrifice.
And the old
And
man sat down and he passed away on top of the Giving Tree.
no, I mean they don't make it that dark for the children's book, but like it's a famous children's book, but like it's something to think about too, you know what I mean? Like it's an interesting thing to think about. But like this was like sort of a Giving Tree moment for him. He couldn't even move. Like, All Might could barely even move at this point. He couldn't get up or anything. And he's like, here, I've still got something I can give you. You know what I mean? And it was just kind of like an interesting last little moment. I don't know.
Look at that
It's,
splinted
it
arm.
made me think of the Giving Tree for a second too. That he's giving everything to these children. So
I can see it. Speaking of that splinted arm, am I crazy, or was that the arm that Bakugo, gave to Deku when Deku caught him and then yeeted him that distance? Was that the same
what?
arm? The arm that he splinted, was that the arm that Deku grabbed to beat Bakugo that distance?
Oh, is the implication that he broke his arm and that's why he needs a splint?
because I've been thinking about that the entire time, but I could never really. Cause I watched it a couple times, but I don't. I didn't really look at the time. The arm grab. The part of me is like wondering is was the arm was the because the arm kind of looked dangling there, like really skinny. When I was looking at
Yeah.
Bakugo's arm, and I'm like, could that have been the
I
result?
did. I did wonder why he needed a splint, and I just thought maybe I missed an injury he'd taken. But what you're saying makes a lot of sense.
So think like did Deku like because I feel like Deku yeeting him with the second's power would cause that kind of damage, but at the same time I
Yeah,
don't
for
really
sure.
know. I really do also love the whole idea of like with the whole Gimmetry thing. I love the idea that as this was going on and Deku and Bakugo were like basically bros in that very moment, and then you have like All Might saying if you two come together to make each other stronger, you win every fight and save every person. And I thought that was kind of cool, and I guess a part of the symbolism that at that very moment, they were doing what All Might said that if they did, they would be the two greatest heroes of the world. And a part of me
Yeah,
is like, I thought that was freaking cool that it actually happened, and I wasn't thinking that they were gonna do something like that. It seems
yeah,
insane in hindsight to think that okay, that wouldn't have happened, but at the time, I was like, Bakugo was still kind of like immature, quote unquote. So is Deku, but like Deku's more willing to learn from people and take things in and learn from everybody around him. Bakugo kind of's that way, but he's kind of like rash about it. He's kind of like he doesn't want people knowing that he's kind or whatever like that. Which good. This entire episode, he's kind of like he's got a kinder and softer side to him. Speaking of the softer side, I want to also talk really quick about Bakugo's parents. Um, I find it interesting that it's like his father, for the most part, who hadn't really shown much emotion or any character really for the most part. Whenever he was
yeah,
shown in the show, was the one concerned about his son fighting over one, and then the mother was like, "No, you gotta watch him because, he's probably got that." She didn't say dumb smile, but I could hear it in the English voicing of like he's probably got that dumb smile on his face like he always does. And again, it was like one of those interesting things about Bakugo's genuine grin of like how All Might says like smile in the face of adversity or like that. When you're fighting,
yeah.
have a smile on your face because we usually see that with Deku in every fight that he's been in. So it's kind of cool that in this moment,
Well, Deku deliberately is smiling as a homage to All Might.
yeah, but I think
Bakugo is smiling more because he's just, like out of his mind. But
no, I think he's doing that because this key also is an homage. Because like, don't forget, All Might is his favorite hero too. Like Bakugo and Deku's favorite hero is All Might. Like the entire show or whoever these two are, come from the same hero.
yeah,
I feel like that's just him paying homage. I don't think he's insane. I think he's just running off of adrenaline because he's in pain, which he does say that his quirk is doing to him. I find it interesting that apparently now he's learning that the explosions in his body, at least at this state with his quirk, at this state that it's in right now, um, he can feel where the pain is and then time the explosion to where the where the sweat is, and it cause him to thrust further. So it's clear that he needs to work on that because when he's using it here, he's kind of just throwing his body around.
yeah.
I just thought it was kind of
He's a very like Bakugo's like attacks seem to be like all AOE to me.
I mean, it's an explosion, and for the
Like right
most
now,
part,
his power is right. His power is so big though that he doesn't have any precise attacks. It's all like big AOE,
well,
splashy stuff.
yeah, but at the same
Don't
time,
you think?
yeah, but at the same time, this just happened. Like this literally just happened. Like his power literally started doing this like not even moments ago.
Yeah,
Like of course these are going to be giant explosions, unlike the ones he's used to, because like he's had time to work with his ability. This is like the first time his quirk's done this, where it's like showing him that it can in fact do more than what he currently thought he could do. I also find it cool that as he was doing this and as he was like trying to beat All for One, he's like, I feel like I can finally catch up and surpass him. At first, I thought maybe he was talking about All for One, but I think he maybe talking about Deku. Like he finally can catch up now. So that's part of like Bakugo's whole inferiority complex. He feels like he's he's like falling behind Deku.
I thought it was sort of like multifaceted. It was doing work for a lot of reasons. Like he said catch up, and I think he was definitely meant Deku, but there was a little bit of double entendre there because he was also trying to catch up with All for One.
Which is still freaking insane because, like, even Edgeshot said that he outpaced Shigaraki, and that was a shock to everybody when he did it. But I thought also, and speaking of animation, that was freaking beautiful the way they animated that. I didn't talk about that last time, I don't think, but that was beautifully animated. I don't know what is going on when they're animating Bakugo. Like, they're doing a good job of it.
This was probably one of the best animated episodes in the series, if not the.
Yeah,
the animation was just everywhere. Like they blew their whole animation budget on this episode. It felt like.
I don't think. Well, being realistic, they probably kind of nearly did. I don't think that they did, considering this is the last one. Like, if there's only 11 episodes, at least from what I'm hearing, I don't know if that's true or not. If there's only 11 episodes, there's got to be a bigger budget, and that I don't know
episode,
about.
yeah.
Then but I don't know. Again, I don't know how many episodes there are. It really depends if this fight ends next weekend. Then for sure the Deku versus Shigaraki thing is going to take the rest of the show till whatever they have going on. So well, again, I don't know. Again, I really don't know how the fight between. I'm going.
You know what the other part is though? Like, what other fight would need this level of good animation?
Deku and Shigaraki, I would think.
But they're not that's not going to be a flashy looking fight, is it? That's more like a slog.
It was still kind of flashy with like the All Might because he kept on freaking blowing up buildings with his fist. Not buildings, but like kept on tearing things up. I guess it wouldn't be that. It wouldn't be this flashy, and I mean, it wouldn't be lights everywhere, fireworks in every 5 seconds of the freaking frame.
Right. I don't think they have an episode that they need to be this type of animated. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it would make sense to animate Deku fighting this way. I think this is Bakugo's shtick.
I still think when Deku like used gear shift in that one episode when they highly animated that wasn't on the same level as this, but still gear shift was freaking an amazing like spectacle, and then all the thing. I mean, just because Bakugo's explosions technically emit light doesn't mean there can't be light being showcased everywhere. That's what I'm saying. Like, Flashy can be a multi-faceted thing where it doesn't have to be bright like this show is, like this freaking fight, because it has to be because it's Bakugo firing off fireworks, basically. Out his ass.
Yeah.
But like,
you said but.
But it still could be really flashy with like just like light coming out of nowhere, especially like in the middle of a punch hits Shigaraki, and then there's just like it's a burst of energy that kind of condenses, and then everything goes black, and then immediately everything explodes around them. We've seen that Deku can cause terrain damage like around him, and we saw that in the tournament. He was fighting Todoroki, and they had their like moment of like clashing, like beam struggle. Like, we've seen that happen. So, you know, and I suspect because of like where they are right now, they can still cause a lot of damage from where they are. But it really just I guess it's a matter of opinion what they're going to do. I suspect it's going to be a high use of animation budget. I don't think Bakugo's going to be the only one this season getting it. There's no one else other than him, other than Deku and Shigaraki. Either that or they're gonna spend some money on that from rifle to bullet to headshot from the gaunt that's over there. They could do that.
Yeah.
They could spend some animation budget on that.
Do you think that what was I gonna say? Do you think that I'm sorry, hang on.
Magic Hamlet is out.
Do you think that All for One is going to be fighting Shigaraki, and that's going to be a major fight? I think it is. I don't see how we don't have that. In fact, I think that there could be a fight with Deku and Shigaraki versus All for One.
Nah, I don't. Um, I'm not saying that
Why
Baka
not?
is going to be the one to take him out. I don't think that's going to happen. There's like a 50-50 shot of that happening, but I don't think it.
Hmm.
No, take that back. Not a 50-50. 75-25. 25% that he'll probably do it. 75% that he won't. But for me, I don't think that like those two fighting, or at least something that's in the cards. Because like, if All for One is as smart as I think he is, and all he's really trying to do
But
is
do you
get
know
it.
how disappointing it would be from a plot perspective if All for One
I don't.
doesn't even get to Shigaraki?
I don't need a fight or a confrontation between those two. I really don't.
The whole point of the whole series is that All for One has been conditioning Shigaraki so that he can take him over. If he doesn't actually make it to Shigaraki, then like one of the core things they've been building up to this entire series is just kind of tucked away, and that's I don't think that they would do that. Seems irresponsible. I don't think they will do that. I'm not saying that I want to see it so much as I'm thinking that I just don't see how you write a story, build up to that moment for so long, and then don't do it.
To me, I don't think him meeting up with Shigaraki serves any real purpose. I mean, yeah, he was trying to get to him to take him over, but like I don't know if he's going to successfully take him over. And to me, seeing Shigaraki beat up on essentially a defenseless child doesn't really. Because like, here's the thing: what you're really setting up for. I know this will probably upset you, but not in the current, not in the concepts of but not in the concepts of like a story. More like just the concept of who Deku is. Like Deku's gonna protect the heck out of All for One, especially if he's like 5 years old, which is he's gonna be. He makes it to him, and he's gonna just freaking stop Shigaraki by trying to kill him, regardless of like what All for One's done. I do see a
Mm-hmm.
situation where Deku's gonna get in the way of like if Shigaraki does, and I'm saying he won't. I'm saying if that's what actually does happen, there's a situation where Deku's the one protecting All for One, and then something happens to All for One and he ends up dying. I don't know what that is. It could be just a gaunt like shooting him in the head, and that's just enough of a repair that it causes him to revert to an embryo. Who the heck knows? But
Uh-huh.
it's not gonna be a satisfying end to him, basically, because it's gonna be like, oh, Nagant's the one that shot him in the head. Okay, that's random.
Mm-hmm.
Versus like,
You know what's speaking of how much little time he has left, have you noticed that it seems like there's a little bit of symbolism in the fact that so we're seeing All for One glowing, you know what I mean, all the time, like now, you know what I mean, which is a symbolic of him rewinding and healing. Do you know what I mean? And the more he gets, the younger he gets, the more he seems to glow. And it's sort of, yes, it's a suggestion of how powerful he is, but it's also um, yes, it's a just suggestion of how powerful it is, but it's also like kind of a reminder that he's running out of time. You know what I mean? Yes, he's out of, it's like a double, it's doing double duty. And um, along with that, as he was killing All Might, you saw the light only version of All Might in Deku's head becoming real. So, like, as the light was turning into a person in Deku's head, as All Might died, the living All for One was like. The living All for One was similarly turning from human to light. You know what I mean? So if light means like you're in the spirit world, like you see one turning into light and one turning into reality, and in both cases it's a bad thing. But I thought that was an interesting like transition to the spirit world kind of thing.
I see what you mean, but I don't know if that's the spirit. Well, can't call that not the spirit world, but that's not really the afterlife because like they're trapped inside of a kid.
I mean, for them that's their afterlife, right?
I guess.
They're dead. It's after their life. It's a sort of like little spirit realm. I know maybe not the whole, maybe world is too big of a word, but it's like a special little spirit realm that exists for people that have had that quirk.
I cannot refute any of this. I'm trying to think because it's like people had died in that universe for sure. They're not in there. I feel like they're kind of alive, quote unquote, and they're just living out the rest of their afterlife, which makes absolutely no sense. I realize I'm saying these words. I'm still gonna say them. Living their afterlife out inside Deku for at least the amount of time that they're
I get this
capable of.
vibe that it's sort of like an Avatar cycle thing, but maybe that's a bad way to do it.
I'm
Like
pretty sure that is
animated
what that
Avatar.
is the Avatar.
It's kind of inspired by that. I felt like, you know what I mean? The
Yeah,
Avatar sequence.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what that is that kind of the Avatar thing. Except for at least for Aang and the gang, they didn't exist all at the same time. I just showed up whenever that current Avatar needed their help. I don't know why I'm laughing. I just kind of find it funny. But yeah. I just want to say I didn't say this. Like, I kind of liked how like for the most of the show, Bakugo's mother kind of seemed kind of hard, kind of harsh or whatever like that. She didn't really seem motherly. Kind of just like a female version of Bakugo. But I kind of found it interesting in that one moment when she's seeing her son fight and she was crying. It's probably to me the softest she's ever seemed, at least in my general opinion of her as a character. The entirety of the show, because like Deku's mother is always crying. Was always worrying about Deku, but like you never really see that too much with Bakugo's mother.
Mm-hmm.
There was moments that it was clear that she cared about her son because she always chastised him about his manners. I just kind of find it interesting that as she's seeing her son fight, he's got a tear in her eye, and then she's like, to me, it's like that's probably the softest we've ever seen her look. Period. The entirety of the show, and it's probably meant to be on purpose, showing that she's proud of her son. Probably. I thought it was interesting to see that because like they didn't need to show his mother watching him fight, but it's awesome. I'm actually kind of curious. Where's Deku's mother? Is she on the floor fainted? It's like that poor woman is like been going through a lot.
Who was the person that was worried about Bakugo? The man that was worried about Bakugo, and the woman said you have to watch him. Like
That was his mother and
look
father.
at his. That was his father. I recognized the mother, but I didn't recognize the
Yeah,
father.
that was the man he's been throughout the show. He just doesn't do a lot or anything at all. I think he's had a few things to say, but he hasn't said, as I said before, like he as a character, he's done very little. There's nothing really like I only recognized him because he's always been with his wife. That's the only real reason I recognize him. Because if it wasn't for that, I would have thought he was a random NPC that she had her hand on. But that was his father, yes. That was her sperm donor. That's kind of harsh, but yeah, I thought that was just interesting, kind of awesome that they showed, because they showed her before before Bakugo had been impaled, because she had made mention that like the weather was kind of becoming a little bit like stormy and it's gonna rain, and she brought that her son doesn't like the rain. Really interesting. Right before he died too, like she brought that he doesn't like the well, died quote unquote, he didn't like the rain. I thought it was interesting, they showed her watching her son fight. But again, like I can't imagine his mother, Inko, I think it was Inko Deku's mother, watching that fight without fainting 5 times, just in the first few minutes of the fight. Weird too. Also means like that both Bakugo's mother and Deku's mother are best friends, and it's the only reason why Bakugo and Deku with each other.
Yeah.
But
That makes sense. He seems like such a wuss now. Bakugo's dad. Bakugo's dad. I'd be an angry person if that was my dad. I'd be like, my dad sucks. I'm gonna cook and freaking kill everything. I'm so mad that this is my dad. so lame. My dad is so lame. I just want to punch something.
You sound like a bad version of Shaquille, dude. Okay, with that, I'm going to end it here. Next week,
Why are we ending it? Wait.
What?
Let me look through my notes, make sure I didn't miss anything.
I didn't even you had notes.
Oh yeah, I have a whole thing. I thought it was. How did you feel about the fact that they made All Might so helpless that when he's being held over All for One's head, he's drooling on camera, like world camera. How did you feel about that? I don't know if the anime needed that moment. I understand that it makes it more dramatic, but I was like, I don't know if I wanted to see him
This I took
drooling.
it. This is your god. Basically, what that
I know, but it's just like
is.
I didn't want that. I don't like that had to happen to the character. I think that's one of the examples of how this show has been getting a little too dark for my taste. I think he could have died there even, but like to make him drool, to have that character have to undergo that level of indignity was like it was kind of like not cool to me. I don't know. What did you think?
I think it served its purpose. I mean, I don't really feel any way about it either way. Um, did I want All Might to go through that? Heck no. Like that did seem pro, but like to me, it fit All for One persona. Like
Yeah.
All for One has been spending since season 1,
Hmm.
hating All Might, hating his guts, hating everything about him. He does not like the man. This man caused him so much pain, quote unquote, in terms of like stopping him from doing what he wanted to do. So to
Yeah.
me, it's like, even if it was dark, this fit All for One, to a T. It was like, regardless of me making fun of saying this is your god while holding him over your head, but he said it. I think he said it eloquently. His death was gonna cause a turn for something, whether it be good or bad. There was gonna be a change. Basically, he would All for One knew killing this man would cause something to shift. Luckily for us, though, All Might didn't die. But still, like, we knew what was going on in his mind. And that's why he literally raced over to where Deku and Shigaraki was, because he needed something to distract Deku.
Hmm.
And he almost succeeded. Deku was having a crisis of conscience, because he was like, do I save him, or do I keep hands on Shigaraki? Though in
I
hindsight,
think
I
I
think
think if much more time had gone by, he would have forgotten the mission to go save All Might. I don't think he would have. I think he would have. He's too tunnel vision when things like that happen, and he's too idealistic. He's like, I'm going to do everything, and he would have decided he was going to somehow find a way to do everything, and he would have gone and tried to save All Might, and maybe that would have been the end of the show if Bakugo. I think that's the whole point. I think that's how Bakugo saved the day, was that he stopped Deku from making a terrible mistake.
here's my thing. It was made pretty clear that Shigaraki is kind of just letting Deku hold him there. It wouldn't have mattered like if he had raced off to get All Might, because like Shigaraki wasn't really being held there. At least from the way he got out of it, it didn't seem like he was struggling that much to break the Black Whip. Now that could have just been because Deku was exhausted, but at the same time, it was one of those situations where like I don't know why it seemed like it didn't take Shigaraki a lot of time to break free of Black Whip. And he did break free.
Mhm.
To me, it's like that moment right there. To me, means that if Deku had raced off to save his pseudo dad, it wouldn't have mattered. Yeah, granted, he would have like let Shigaraki. He would have him moving and him leaving him behind with giving Shigaraki permission to kill everybody else. But I don't know if him keeping him there really did much to deter Shigaraki. I mean, Shigaraki already is upset that Bakugo is still running around. But at the same time, it's like I don't know. But yeah, did all that need to happen? And I think it was mostly just to show how cruel All for One was. Kind of just cements it to the Terabyte's brain that there's no way around for this man. Like that's another thing too with
Yeah.
the whole backstory. I don't think I'm gonna feel sorry for him. I
I
think
don't. I mean, I fully agree with you that that's something that he would have done. Do you know what I mean? That it makes sense as something he would have done. I just my complaint that I was bitching about. I was like, I just didn't like it that it happened in the first place. And I know we're not supposed to like that it happened, but I was just like, I don't like that.
I want to say that the music just playing now really fit that solemnness that he had there.
No, I just like I liked that All Might was a symbol of peace, and I liked that he was like a symbol of dignity, and I liked that he was inspirational, and I don't like that we've decided that we're going to debase him to this level. Like I didn't want to. It's just something I didn't selfishly and childishly didn't want to see. You know what I mean? It's just like this is something that you did that I didn't want to see in my anime. You know, don't put this in my food. You know.
I mean, I still think that a little darkness in a show that's so happy-go-lucky makes for a better story, because what it does is it kind of just brings it down a little bit and like makes it so, okay, not everything's always going to work out. I will say that this war probably has been probably the darkest my hero's been. I think that's still a good thing.
But they've spent the whole damn anime tearing All Might down. They've shown him vomiting blood. They've shown him weak. They've shown him like cowering in corners. They've shown him like looking helpless. They've shown him, you know what I mean? And then he finally tries to do something, and they're like, "We're gonna beat him so bad that he's drooling on himself." And it's just like, dude,
I don't.
why do we have to? Why do we have to tear him down over and over and over again? I liked him as like a symbol of peace, and like now he's, and not only is he drooling, but there's like a little camera hovering. The last piece of tech that he has that still works is a little fucking camera that's like hovering near him to record this moment, and it's just like, God damn it! I don't know.
But I think leading up to that moment, he was still really strong. I don't think like him having these moments does anything to hurt him. But at this point, he's not really. He hasn't done much beyond taking down One for All back when he did. But like at the same time,
All for One, yeah.
Oh, sorry, All for One. Back when he did, just because like that was the last thing he could do.
Well, that's all he does on camera, but it's clear that he's done all sorts of stuff. You know,
I'll get that.
that's all he's technically done on camera, but we know as viewers that there's a whole history of heroism that people have grown up with from him.
I'll get out of that, but he's still also, even while you say he's weak and cowering, he's still just being himself has still instilled people in the world with hope and stuff like that. Like him just existing, like like it's clear that All for One back, because I think one of the bigger things about All for One trying to kill him like that way was like All Might still, even though All Might is no longer All Might, he's Toshinori Yagi, the man. Like him still existing proves a problem for All for One, because All for One realizes that him still being alive still gives people hope. Basically, he wants to rip that from everybody, and to do that, he has to kill the one person that's giving all that hope. I guess one thing too, like even Shigaraki, as like All Might's up there dangling by All for One, he's like as he's talking to Deku about, like, as he's dying, you see that he's showing up inside the dream world that you're in. And when he finally is there, the illusion will break and everything will become reality. He's still like, even Shigaraki's feeding that whole notion that like that you've been lied to, that all these hopes and dreams, aspirations, the hope that he gave you was all a lie. And though Deku is still holding on to that like everybody else is, I still think All Might still stands for all that, even if he is being tortured like he is, or being debased. Like I feel like that's still something that he still portrays. That's why you don't want him to die. That's why you don't want him to get hurt. All that stuff. He's still doing his job as a character, because you don't want him hurt. Like, you rather him be laughing, the jovial, the big dude, and is out there saving people's lives. When unfortunately,
I didn't need that. I just wanted him to like at least have some dignity. That's all.
I think he'll get it eventually.
There was a very undignified moment for someone that I felt. I didn't mind that he was beaten. I didn't mind that he was being held over their head like a trophy. I didn't mind most of that shit. I just, when it got to that level of indignity, then I was like, this is less than cool now. Like I would have rather.
That wasn't the rain hitting his face and just kind of coming off of his side of his mouth.
Because it dripped down only his mouth. Okay.
Okay.
You take some wild leaps to make your point sometimes.
I mean, it's not a wild point. I'm just saying that I remember the movie you're talking about. I'm seeing where he's on the. But I
Yeah.
feel like when I saw that, at first I thought it was Droll, and I was watching it, but then I thought like, well, no, there's rain coming down. It's like raining during this moment. Is it a rain that is that him drooling? That was my legitimate thought. Like maybe the rain, like there was enough water in his mouth from the rain that it just came out of his mouth. But whatever. I'm not
I
fighting
think
this.
that it would be unnecessarily confusing. I don't think that the animators were like, let's just do some, have it look surprisingly like Drool. I just don't think so.
Man, not saying he was needed. I'm just like this entire scene, but I feel like maybe it was.
Yeah, but now you're saying maybe it wasn't Drool at all, and I'm like, that's just ridiculous. Like, why would
I'm not talking
they?
about I'm not talking about the drill. I feel like I don't know. You could make the argument that it was rain or whatever because it was raining. I feel like maybe if it wasn't raining during that entire fight, maybe like whatever. But like, I choose to think that it was rain that came out of his mouth. I don't know. Whatever. It's raining. He's rolling from his mouth. It doesn't really matter to me all that much. In all honesty,
Mhm.
not that I like dark moments. I'm just saying like sometimes for me it's like okay, we need some stakes. We need something to cause an emotion to come up. I don't always
Mhm.
watch dark things, or I always don't want something dark to happen. It's one of the things. Like,
I don't mind Dark. I just wanted him to have dignity. That's all. I was just like, this is a really cool guy. Like everybody, the whole world needs him. They don't. They lose. The heroes lose so much when he loses his dignity because like there's so much for the heroes as a whole culture that is gained by his dignity. You know what I mean? And his good name. And like they lose the whole damn thing when he they don't lose the whole damn thing, but like they lose so much when he starts drooling, and it's just like such a big hit. You know what I mean? Because everybody's watching on TV, and he's like the symbol of peace, and everybody needs their symbol of peace, and now they've lost their symbol of peace. And I guess that makes room for Deku to step in. But I feel like Deku's not ready to be the symbol of peace yet, and he might just be it anyway, become it anyway, because that seems to be where the story's headed. But like I just felt like he's not quite poised to be that yet. He's got too much to do, and the situation is too complicated. It's not just Deku versus a bad guy. Like I think he sees Shigaraki as a more complicated problem, and All Might has taken himself out of the picture. Maybe I mean, All for One has taken himself out of the picture. Maybe so it doesn't feel like that 100% to me. That's all.
All Might's been retired and then removed. There's like he hasn't really been actively a hero at
But the
all.
people still see him as this. They haven't replaced him. He was still the symbol of peace. You know what I mean?
I get that, but I don't think even when Deku does become active, they'll ever forget him. Like in a not in a metaphor, like in an actual like in a history sense, it's like that people will not forget All Might, even when he is long gone past, deceased into the ground. I suspect
Yeah.
people will still view this man as a symbol. Deku will probably never live up to that. He'll probably
But
be.
he does live up to that because in episode 1 he says, "I will become the greatest hero ever."
That tells me he's gonna go past the mantle. Then not really.
Right. That means this season is the season when Deku becomes the greatest hero ever because that's what they promised us
Well,
in season 1, episode 1.
not really. There's an angle that they can still attack this with, which is like Deku. He starts down that path, but he doesn't exactly achieve it until like much later in his life, like maybe after high
Uh-huh.
school. There's a potential time skip that they could show us in an episode where he's an adult, and that's when he is the
Uh-huh.
number one hero. He doesn't necessarily need to achieve it during this season. Well, no, take that back. He doesn't need to achieve it during the fight with Shigaraki. He could probably start down the path of that with Shigaraki, but
Uh-huh.
at the same time, I don't think, in my honest belief, I don't know anything. I'm just like this is my honest belief, based on things that's going on and like really sitting on it. Yeah, you could take from the very first episode that that's what he meant was that at the end of the series he's going to become the number one hero. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen during the fight. It could potentially happen in a time skip where he's older and
Mhm.
that's him to give him the title, or he's like number one hero Deku, whoever his name is at the time, as he's an adult and he's running around. Um, that's my thinking because it seems like, as you said before, he's still too young. He's still got a lot of learning to do. All Might hasn't really taken the mantle of mentor yet. So he should have already, but he hasn't yet. For a really
Hmm.
weird reason. But when he does take on that mantle of mentor, that's when I think the training for #1 heroship will truly begin for him.
Hmm.
Because Deku realizes that he still got a lot to learn. I mean, every time he's thinking about All Might dying, he doesn't want him to die. So like,
Yeah.
basically, it's like there is still Deku isn't going to achieve it during this fight with Shigaraki. He may start down the path, or continue down the. I shouldn't say start
How
down
are
the
you
path.
so sure that he's not gonna achieve it?
I feel like beating Shigaraki isn't going to be something that's like #1 hero. I don't think that's what's going to be because he's still a freaking student. Like Deku is still a student. To me, it just seems
Mhm.
like it's like okay, like because like he was speaking from like because this is the thing, that Deku we heard from the very first episode was literally speaking from the very far future. Um, I highly doubt that like because he definitely said this is how I start my journey. Something about that just doesn't seem like he's going to achieve it during a fight with Shigaraki. Like it just something about it doesn't seem like. But I'm still under the belief that I think he's going to straight up kill him. I don't know. There's going to be a redemption. I think Shigaraki, regardless of
I
what's
think
happened,
they're gonna. Do you think they're at least going to explore Deku trying to redeem him, or do you think you're thinking that he's going to go straight to kill mode?
I think he's
Like,
going to
don't you
knock.
think he's
I
at
think he's
least
going
going
to.
to try to do something to save him?
I think he's going to try to knock him out. But when he realizes it's not going to work, um, and
Then he's going to take away his bending.
here.
Sorry.
No, that's not. I hate. I'm sorry. I hate the. Well, I don't hate it. I dislike the way they ended the the
What I just like
the
about it is
ape
that
and
it
stuff.
didn't. There was if they build up to the fact that there might be something called spirit bending,
Yeah,
and then
that's
he
what I'm
like
saying.
finds it at the end. But just for like this big monster to come along, and go, here you go, here's the answer to your problem, and then like walk away at one of the last
That's what I don't
episodes.
like about energy bending. It just something that came out of nowhere. And then the worst part is, it wasn't like it was explained as what the guy gave him, the turtle. He
Yeah.
he used it after he couldn't break Ozai in his avatar state. He just suddenly gained peace in that moment, and then just touched him, and then erased everything. I'm like, why? It's a cool concept, but yeah, they should have like Aang should have like disappeared in a season prior to a turtle island to learn something, possibly like during that episode where he was fighting um between his own beliefs and what the world required of him. During that episode, he should have disappeared to an island or whatever like that, versus like him running away and then him sleepwalking into an island for some really strange reason.
Mhm.
There should have been some planting of that, like there might have been a turtle or something like that. Because it wasn't even explained that the turtle guys gave people bending until Legend of Korra. That's another thing that they explained way too late. But whatever. Um, Back to my hero.
Hmm.
It was
That was
something.
a good little rant. I like that I triggered that in you.
I keep thinking about that because it really does irritate me a little bit. But I was like, I had something to say. Oh yeah, it was like about the whole Shigaraki and I honestly, this is honestly what I feel like. Maybe he's gonna get into a fight. He's gonna try talking Shigaraki down. Shigaraki's gonna say, "I hate the world." The world, like, basically, he's gonna go into the whole idea that heroes are a failed experiment because they didn't get to him in time, save him from the damage that was done to him as a child. And Deku's gonna try to like do a step process. He's gonna try to knock him out to see if he can't like handcuff him again, bring him back under control, and then put him in jail. Um,
Hmm.
that's not gonna work because Shiragi's gonna probably have a plan to deal with that, or he's just gonna brute force it like he's always been doing. Or two, Deku's just gonna have to flat out kill him. I really do think Shigaraki's beyond redemption, but I don't think he's beyond redemption because of all the stuff that he's done. I think he's beyond redemption because I don't think he wants to be saved. There's been several instances. There's been a couple instances I've seen so far in dealing with him. That like anytime a hero has reached out to him, not even just Deku, just a hero in general has reached out to him, he's fought back and he's bit the hand that's tried to save him. He's hated All Might. he doesn't seem to have that much respect for All for One, other than saving him as a child. But it doesn't seem like Shigaraki really holds too much, you know, too much like of himself in that moment of being saved as a child.
Mhm.
Deku happened to meet the child that's still inside Shigaraki, the little kid that we all think is still the goodness of him, but that
Mhm.
child rejected him. He just straight up rejected him. Like he said, like I don't want to be saved again. No, I am a villain, basically. So he told him, and then that's when he shot him back out. But to me, it's like that moment right there when that child rejected him told me, it's like I don't think you can save him. It's like to me, I don't think he wants to be saved. I think it's one of those reasons, like situations where like Deku's gonna probably do everything he can, try to change his mind, but it's like I don't think this is gonna work because Shigaraki ain't like Toga or like Twice or those people that he had on his team where they had like a sliver of humanity that can be reached. Shigaraki's been like the on the outcast of humanity.
I I honestly thought if we were going to save one character, it was going to be Spinner. And I know I've talked to you about that before, but Spinner was the only one where I was like, this guy seems like maybe they could salvage him. And like realistically, but Shigaraki seems like that's where the narrative is headed. Like that's where the writing is headed. Like whereas Spinner was more like that's something I could see happening realistically.
But also, Spinner
I
didn't want
don't
to be
think it was.
saved. Also, that's the other too. Spinner didn't want to be saved.
I know.
I know that
But
makes you.
Spinner like could have been someone that I could have been like I could see them figuring out a way to save Spinner, on a moral level, but like nobody else. But like Shigaraki is what seems like I don't know why would they be building all this stuff up for him if they didn't plan on confronting that possibility.
I don't know. He wants to be. Everything there hasn't like any of the glimpses that we've had into the child persona that's been inside his body the entire time, the kid that's been
Mhm.
there the entire show. You would think by at some there would be some glimpse at this kid saying "help me" or something like that. Like Deku said that he thought he had saw him say "help me," but I'm starting to think that kid never said that. I don't know what Deku saw in him that made him like think that he can save Shigaraki. But it's like to
But
me,
now that he's gotten it in his head, do you really think he's going to kill him? And if he doesn't kill him, what is he going to do other than take away his bending? Shigaraki cannot be allowed to live unless he's redeemed or his powers are taken away from him.
I mean, he gotta get killed.
And Deku is the only one that can kill him, and Deku will not kill someone that he has gotten in his mind could be saved.
I'm just telling you what that kid that I saw.
Do you remember when he fought Todoroki in the tournament? And he let Todoroki kick the living crap out of him, and he took permanent damage to his body in a demonstration tournament because he said, and I quote, "I'm saving you." Like he decided he was going to save Todoroki from himself then and now and immediately, rather than maybe a long-term strategy or something. And he took permanent damage to his body that like never fully healed as he like made his point to Todoroki in that arena then and now, and like that's just how it worked.
There's a difference though. Todoroki
He's
was not trying to not be saved. Todoroki was holding on to some
Todoroki
baggage.
didn't want to be saved either. He was happy with this situation. Well, not
No,
happy, but
no, he wasn't.
he was decided in his situation. He
That
thought
wasn't.
he'd made up his mind.
That wasn't not wanting to be saved. That was just a stubborn. That was just stubbornness on his part.
Yeah.
He had made a
Well,
decision.
Todoroki's pretty stubborn too. Just throwing that out there.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like Shoto was just stubborn and like he already had made up his mind. This is different though because like Shigaraki has had years to grind basically, and all the hatred that he's been in. On top of that, not even just marinating on his own, he also had All for One
Yeah.
molding and basting him. I hate that I'm using these
Yeah.
words, but still,
Hey,
like
this sounds a delicious little conversation you're having here.
he, he's been sprinkling just the basil of hatred all over this guy. Like to
Mm-hmm.
me, and like I said before, I would be totally on your side with saving him. Like I mean, I'm not saying that
Yeah.
you like the fact that he's saving. He's being
Uh-huh.
saved. But for me, that little child is really what I'm
But
basing all this.
Deku doesn't see that he's filled with the balsamic vinegar of wrath. He sees that like he sees that like he could be
I'm
saved, and
sorry.
that's all Deku is
I'm
gonna see
sorry.
once
Can
he
we get
sees
a
it.
T-shirt? A balsamic vinegar wrap?
Of wrath.
We need a T-shirt or something for that one. What the heck? That was beautifully worded.
We'll put it on the merch. It'll be great.
If we ever have merch, but still, but like, but here's the thing. This is seriously, to me. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter like what he's saying on the outside. I'm basing everything after that second interaction he had with that child within Shigaraki's brain. He literally freaking pushed Deku back, said, I don't want to be saved. I am a villain. He didn't say I didn't want to be saved, but he definitely said I was a villain. And to me, it's like, okay, if the little kid that we're all basing our hopes and dreams on, that's still within him to be reached by Deku is all we're really hoping for, that kid has told you he doesn't want to be saved. I mean, Deku would have to do some serious molding to prove to him that it ain't all bad, and maybe he
Uh-huh.
could. But I don't know what he could say to that kid within the time of pummeling the outside shell. Like, I don't know what he could say, because like Deku said a lot to him already, but it hasn't really reached him. Like every opportunity Deku has had, he said something to him.
That's what I'm so worried about, though, that the story's building up to this, and that it's just going to be bad writing. I'm like, please don't be bad writing this far into the story. Just like Avatar had a kind of a bullshit last ending. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so worried this is going to have something like that too. I didn't like that he got bailed out. Like, I guess that might be controversial with the fans, but I didn't like that Aang got bailed out the way he did so easily. I like that I like that it ended with peace, a note of peace and happiness and everything, but I just didn't like that the writing bailed him out at the end.
In hindsight, as much as I say I definitely hate that, because I still deeply do hate the I like the concept of energy building. I don't think it was the worst writing.
No, I like the concept of energy bending. I don't like that it was brought in for free. And like, I think it was the second to last episode. It might have been the last episode, or
Also,
it might have been the third to last episode, or something like that. But it's brought in right at the freaking end.
yeah, but
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. But I think actually I heard after that. Actually, I read up on something about that whole energy bending. I know this doesn't really make it any better, but I was reading somewhere, even if they were, I don't know, because it said that if we could have brought it in earlier. I didn't say any of this, but I was thinking because the idea that it can't really be learned, it kind of just the only way you can, like the only real way you can, is through the turtle. And the turtle did give Aang those the turtle did give Aang the power to do it. I don't know if there's any real perfect way. The only other way that could have ended is like Aang died, which I mean, I guess I don't. The thing is, I don't know if Nickelodeon would allow that. Um,
Why would Aang dying have helped?
if it would have been better, it wouldn't have had that ending.
And then Sokka comes in and hits him with his space sword or something. Like, what do you think's like? What are you talking
Ozai
about?
would win, and we just have another series to have to deal with Ozai.
And then we didn't have to deal with Korra. That would have been okay.
No, I think we still have to deal with Korra. I don't think Korra's
everybody hated Korra. I liked Korra, and everybody hated Korra. I will admit though that when the Avatar: The Last Airbender series ended, I watched it like 3 more times, and when Korra ended, despite feeling like I don't have a good concept in my head of the whole storyline and I could benefit from watching the series one more time, I've never felt the desire to watch Korra again. But I wanted to watch Avatar like 3 times, and I may even watch it a 4th time sometime in my life, you know? So I guess if that I don't know what that says, but like, despite me like saying that I liked Korra, like it is interesting to see that my desire to rewatch Korra is non-existent, and I love rewatching Avatar: The Last Airbender.
I didn't think people really hated Korra all that much. I mean, I know some people didn't like Korra specifically, not the show. They didn't like her as a character. I definitely heard that argument way more throughout the show. I don't think people hated the show. I think people just didn't enjoy Korra. It might just because she was
Korra
just
was. I
too
thought Korra
brash.
was okay, but like everybody's so. Anytime there's a female superhero character, everybody shits on it. Every single time, almost. There's a few exceptions, like Toph. Like nobody really dislikes Toph for the most part. But like it does feel like people are unfair to female characters.
I think Korra. I think what really. I'm not sure this is really truly what like the issue is. Korra kind of went through dating quite a few of the male leads. Well, no, the only male. Like no, she only dated Mako and then broke up with him. Then they had that episode where she kind of like. I even hate to even use these words, but I was like, she kind of acted like a typical animated girl there, but up to that point, she didn't. At least for me anyway, she didn't. It was kind of when she had that memory loss, and then she was kind of acting like, oh yes, well she broke up with him, and then she lost her memory of breaking up with him, and then thought they were still dating, and Mako was kind of weird.
Yeah.
And then like, not that I had a problem with her dating us. I mean, they kind of should have led up to that a little bit more. Because they kind of
Do
cut
you
off at
think?
Nickelodeon when they were about to kiss.
Yeah. So do you think that that might be the case with a lot of people that end up being a lesbian? That they only end up realizing they're a lesbian after they've exhausted every other possibility. I feel like that might be part of it. That like because there's so much pressure to be straight that like that might have really resonated with a lot of lesbians. That like shit, like that's exactly how it ended up with me. Like I spent my whole life like trying to find a guy that I liked, and then one day I made out with a girl, and it was it. You know what I mean? And I realized that was it. That was what I was supposed to be doing. So I don't know. I've always wondered if like if you were to ask a lesbian about that scene, if they would be like, no, that's how it happens. You know?
I don't know. I guess what it comes down to. Oh, that's just email.
Don't you? I mean, think about that. Wouldn't you? If you thought you were straight and you were just like, I'm straight. Why is this not working? Why are things not working out with any guy I meet? Like I'm supposed to be straight. And then one day you're just like, you tried it with a girl and you're like, wait a minute, this is exactly why it's not working out with guys. I don't know. I was willing to like believe that that might have had something to do with it.
A part of me when I hear that, I get really depressed because like, well, because the idea is like, okay, well, I can't compete with that. Then there's no freaking way. Even this applying that
You're not
process.
you're not supposed to compete with it if you're talking about what I think you're talking about.
No, what I'm saying is like when you see that, it's like, how could I do that with any other potential woman in my life at that point? Like, what if what happened to her happens to this girl? At that point, you're gonna probably think as a straight dude that you're probably gonna end up single for the rest of your life because almost every woman that you probably had come in contact with apparently is a lesbian, either that or bi. But even with the bi, they don't typically date men; they typically date women. The bisexuals, I mean, like they don't typically date dudes if they go both ways. It's one of those things where it kind of like gets the whole dating scene kind of gets depressing in that regard because like there's so many women that do go both ways, and it's like how you're supposed to compete with that. You can't. This is what you already said before, but I just want to say like that's really it's not gonna get into the whole. I'm starting to hear the term lone male epidemic now. I'm like, oh dear God, but now we're getting into this. But it's like I just don't know. Like I just think that I've been curious about like how does lesbian relationships end up because it's like thinking your male brain that girls just don't. I mean, no, I shouldn't say that. Girls probably do if they know what they like and they know they're a lesbian, they'll definitely pursue women anyway, and that's just how that works. But in some cases, that may not be the case. They end up experimenting, which is like what that really is, experimenting to see if maybe that's what they like. Again, it's like, man, like what, like there's gonna be a lot more single dudes that are heterosexual because of it, and it's like, okay, well now what? It's not what you can do at that point. I mean,
oh my God!
What?
You've got to see what ChatGPT made for me. I know you don't. I know you're not a ChatGPT fan, but you've got to see this.
You have any more notes, Brandon?
Yeah, hang on. Go look at that first. The balsamic vinegar of wrath, dude. It looks so good. It looks so good.
I'm gonna turn that into the name. Have to look at it.
You can have it. Not that I really own it, but you know what I mean. Little note that I had in there. I noticed that I've been watching lately to see if anyone calls him Deku, and I've noticed that pretty much nobody does. I thought that was kind of interesting. I think that might be like a sign that people respect him, even though I know it was his goal to change the whole significance of the name. Do you know what I mean? But like, I thought it was kind of cool that like people are calling him Midoriya, and at the beginning of the series they mostly called him Deku. So I thought that was kind of a small missable detail that I appreciated. Let's see. This one was more like real world impact for me, but like the way everybody's treating this stuff where they're like, oh, I don't care about it because it's going on overseas. And you see people kind of casually watching it and they're like, oh, it's time for dinner. And the other person's like, oh, okay, but this is kind of a cool fight scene. You know what I mean? I'm going to watch it a little bit longer because it's kind of a cool fight scene. And like, you know, everybody's saying like, this is not important to me because it doesn't happen to me. It's not affecting me directly. Just felt like how I feel about the world sometimes. Like when I was a teacher, I was a new teacher, and one of the earlier things that happened was there was you might not remember this because you're younger than me, but there was an earthquake in Asia, and the earthquake it immediately killed like something like 90,000 people because it created a tsunami, and the tsunami wiped out entire villages. Were wiped off the map permanently from this tsunami. And so what I told my kids is if you donate $1, then I'll give you this thing that you can color in class, and you can I want you to still pay attention, but while you're paying attention you can color this picture that I had. I forget what it was, but it was something of like love, you know what I mean, like some sort of hopeful love, wholesome thing. And I said, and I'll take whatever dollars you guys give me, and I will, I'll make sure that they get donated to help these people. So they did that, and like I said, part of the deal was they could put them on their locker. So they put them on their locker, and I had like 15 teachers come and be like, they're not supposed to put stuff on their locker. I'm like, whoa, sorry, how was I supposed to know? You know what I mean? And they're like, they have to take them off. And I'm like, well, okay, but do you see what else is going on here? Do you know what I mean? That we're helping them show compassion and awareness. You know what I mean? They're like, no, and just like, okay. And I told the kids, you got to take them off your locker. The teacher said you did, but you can put them in my classroom. You can put them anywhere you want in my classroom. So we did that instead. But I don't know, like it just, people don't give a crap. Like 90,000 people died, and then like, I might get rolled for this, but like, what was it? 2,000 Americans died in 9/11, and we talk about that and the anniversary of it every single year, and it's been 24 years now. I know it's been 14 years now. Do you know what I mean? And we still commemorate it every single year and remember it. It's fine. You know what I mean? It's natural to care about people that you're more likely to know and, you know, are closer to your house physically. But there is that phenomenon that like 90,000 people that died, you know, nobody remembers that anymore, really. I guess if I brought it up, some people would remember it, but a lot of people wouldn't, you know, that it ever happened in the first place. So I don't know. I just felt like that resonated with me, who I care about everybody, and that's always frustrated me that people don't care about things that happen because it's a long way away. And so I was watching that, and I'm like, I really want to see these people watch Deku change the world. Do you know what I mean? I want Deku to like them to be watching Deku and the heroes and have that unlock a new layer of compassion in them. So I'm very invested in these little filler scenes where they like show the people watching it on their phone and on their TV and stuff like that, because I want that. I want that to be amount to something. And if Deku does become the next greatest hero, it's going to be because everybody's watching this fight.
I don't know if it's gonna happen during the fight with Shigaraki. I'm not saying it won't happen. I just feel like maybe it seems kind of early for him to do that, for it to happen
You know,
now.
you know what really drives home how cold and callous people are about people that don't live in their immediate backyard is when they start talking, when they're like, the big news that comes out of this story so far is when they start talking about how like this is impacting the weather patterns. They're like, yeah, okay, there's a big fight in Japan. Anyway, this fight has caused weather, so we're going to see some rain, or whatever they say. Like, and that was like the most satirical thing I've seen in anime possibly ever. You know what I mean? Like the most political commentary thing I've ever seen in anime. That they're like, yeah, so anyway, the weather that you're going to get because of this fight is pretty important.
I mean, they were already talking about weather patterns last season. I mean, they were talking about
I know, but
they were talking about
do you see
specifically
what I'm?
Bakugo though.
Okay, but you see what I'm saying? Do you know what I mean? That like, what the news cares about right now is not that this life and death battle is going on and being broadcasted on TV. What the news cares about is, hey, meanwhile, in your backyard, you guys are going to get some rain and a cold front from this, and everybody's like, ooh, you know what I mean? I don't want a cold
I don't know
front.
if I want to call it callous. I mean, maybe indifferent, and I only because I mean, yeah, I mean,
Is is
you should
is
kill. You should,
is indifferent a strong enough word when you're not caring about how people might die?
but for a lot of them, like their life, because this is the thing. I don't think it has anything to do with them not really wanting to care or their inability to
Mm-hmm.
be empathetic. Because I feel like not everybody's built the same way. You know,
Uh-huh.
one incident isn't gonna affect one person the same as it's gonna affect the other one. And I hate that when that
Mm-hmm.
happens, people are typically the people who don't feel the same way as somebody else. They kind of get all like robotic or whatever like that, or just non-empathetic. I think it's like I feel like a lot of these people, yeah, it's not happening in their backyard, and you think that's a bad thing, like that because it's not happening to you directly. Why you shouldn't like why can't you care when it's not happening directly to you? But for a lot of them, their life is gonna carry on for the most part, at least until All for One gets to them. But they're not thinking about the future possibility of like this guy coming to them because All for One hasn't been seen, though he clearly was everywhere else in the world. I guess he just hasn't been seen or been reported being in other countries. But for them, it's like this fight's only happening in Japan. This altercation has only been happening in Japan, and then the U.S. has got themselves caught up in all this as well. Other countries are gonna be like, well, we don't have the manpower, and they said this before too. This is a part of All for One's plan that not every country has the manpower to be involved. And I'm guessing with the fact that their country isn't involving themselves in this conflict, the people of those countries are just saying, well, this is far off. This isn't going to affect us right now. Or some people believe it's not going to affect them at all. I don't know if I really want to call that callous. I mean, I don't know that maybe I guess like for me it's like I feel like that word just makes people sound like complete douches.
I think
Maybe
it.
no,
I think it's normalized douchebaggery that we are allowed to not care when 90,000 people die. That we can just read about that over coffee and move on with our day. I think that should put a dark cloud on at least a small portion of our day to find out that happened. But like people were like, "Oh, I didn't even hear about it," and it's just. I think that's callousness. Like that might be made mundane. Callousness made mundane. But I think callous is still a good word for not caring about 90,000 people dying. So in this case, I mean, I think it's fair to say that maybe 90,000 people died in Japan and what's going on here. Maybe more. You know what I mean? Like every city that we've seen is completely destroyed.
no, they
I'm
evacuated
not
those people.
seeing. Even then, I feel like some of
They
the
really,
shit that's going on.
but they really did evacuate all those people. I'm not trying to. No, no, they
Yeah.
actually did evacuate those people. Those places that those fights were
Even
happening,
then,
they
ninety
evacuated
thousand
them.
people. Even then, like there's a good chance that the fallout of this is going to end up in 90,000 people dead because of the poverty and homelessness and everything else that's going to erupt from this. So even then, we could be easily looking at something that the consequence of it is 90,000 deaths. So anyway,
I
I
don't
know I'm
think
pushing a little bit to make that point, but
I don't really think it's gonna end up. I mean, some people might die, but I don't think it's gonna be that many. Not saying that death of any kind is okay. I'm trying to, and this is like why I hate when people say people are callous about that. Now I'm trying to skate around words so I don't seem horrible. Uh, but what basically what
I
I'm trying to
mean,
say, I
heroes.
think they're
There's no
gonna
hero
build.
here
I
that
think
can
they're
make.
gonna. Hmm?
There's no hero here that can make food and water out of nothing except for Cready, I guess. So, and she's not going to have enough to feed everybody. Something's going to happen. There's going to be. It's a cartoon, so maybe there just won't be consequences, and that's all there is to it. But what should be happening is that, like, lives have been ruined by this. Like, realistically, lives should be ruined by the fact that all these buildings are destroyed, and these people, where there was office buildings, now no people have no jobs,
But I think
and like where there's homes, people have no homes, and you know what I mean.
people are
All
living
that. So I didn't
horrible.
see any. I didn't see any pets in the evacuation center. So maybe some pets died. Like, there's still horrible things that happen. You know what I mean? Like, and there's going to be trauma. Like, people come home and see their house destroyed. They're going to be traumatized. Children, especially. I saw my car burn apart once when I was like 18. My car, or 19 maybe, my car caught on fire in a snowstorm, and I watched it burn, and I had so many nightmares because of that. Like, I can only imagine what losing a whole house does, but I don't know, that's beside the point, I guess. But
Those people got homes though, because they were like, again, as I said, they were moved to a completely different location, but they were told to stay and live, and this is where they're going to be. And I suspect that these people know that their houses are going to get destroyed. There is no way. This is just me. There is no way you're going to be told that you need to evacuate the vicinity or
okay,
whatever like that, and
you
not know that your
can't
house
bring
is
your
going to get.
house with you. You can't
No,
bring your house with you.
that's
The
not what
houses
I'm.
still belonged to somebody, and they were still destroyed.
No, and that's not what I'm saying. Basically what I'm trying to get at is like when these people were told to move, they realized their houses were going to get destroyed. How did these people went out of their home, took what they could with them, and I mean, was probably very little, like their toothbrush and maybe pillow or whatever they needed to take with them to
Uh-huh.
be in these other homes that they have, or like this little area. I don't think these people were thinking they're going to see their home like there when they got back. And again, so you
Uh-huh.
have people like what's his name, the concrete dude, and then there's like a lot of heroes that are
Cementos.
construction. Cemento is those people. There are people like him in the world that have powers that can manipulate structures around him. I suspect
Uh-huh.
that's just me because Cementos had a hand in building UA apparently. Um, I suspect that him and a couple other people who have powers that are capable of construction are capable of
Rebuilding an
rebuilding.
entire city.
Yeah, because that city was just one of the cities was
Yeah,
already destroyed. Two
eventually,
of the
dude.
cities were
But
destroyed
like,
already. One of the cities were already destroyed and
eventually,
they were rebuilt.
almost every single hero is like out of commission for like 6 months right now. Like, most of the heroes have just gotten their asses kicked.
I think it's
So like,
extreme to think that they're all
even
going to
that,
be.
like, the heroes need help too right now. It's not just the civilians. There's like, I'd say 20% of heroes are going to be able to like do something the next day. You know what I mean?
I understand, but I feel like it's kind of extreme to say that they're all going to die within 3 months after all this is all done. Like that seems extreme.
I'm not saying they're all going to die. I'm saying that like lives are going to be ruined, and there could be some people starving to death, and there could be some suicides. There could be some like lives ended by this for sure. You know, and there could be trauma. There could be needs for therapy. There could be all sorts of secondary problems that happen from destroying an entire city, even if there's even if there's no literal human casualties, which I'm sure there was at least some. I think they showed what's the girl that can clone you from your blood? What's her name? The blonde one. I can't
Clone,
hear you.
clone you from your blood? What?
She can, like, when she cloned twice. She became twice, and she was like, what is her name? You like her? She walks around with needles and she steals blood, and
Oh, like
she's like a
Cloaca?
psychopath. Yes, thank you. That was not that hard, dude.
That's not
Um,
like clone. That's not cloning. That's just her taking on
I'm sorry, I
appearance.
used the wrong word, but she can take on like the appearance of them. And in the case of twice made clones. Um, I think, didn't she kill that old woman, for example. I mean, there were a few people still there.
That was before they cleared everything out. Like, that was before the war was a thing. Like she
I
killed.
thought that was I thought that was sort of the beginning of the war.
No, I don't think that was. Unless I'm not remembering that correctly. I know she killed an old lady. I'm pretty sure that was not. Like Uraraka had interacted with her. That was the first time Uraraka tried to chase down Togen and it didn't work. That wasn't like that. That wasn't before. That wasn't directly before everything kind of went down. Because Toga ran away. That's like because that's when the Uraraka kind of managed to almost get to her, and that's when Uraraka realized that there may be a girl there that she could reach. That was the beginning of when Uraraka started trying to chase down Toga to see if she
Yeah.
couldn't talk to her. That was the beginning
Which,
of that.
slightly off topic, but like that also sort of, given that Uraraka is like the female equivalent of Deku, like that also kind of builds up the pretense that Deku probably has to try to save his guy.
I'm telling you, not. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I really don't. You have to like that kid that because I'm basing everything off of that kid that he talked to the first time. That
Uh-huh.
kid has to get his mind changed. I don't know what Deku because he tried multiple times. It's not like Deku's been sitting on his hands. He's tried talking to that man several times. Had a had a had a chance to talk to a little kid in there. That little kid definitely did not want to be saved. Talking about I'm a villain. Get away from me, basically. Like
Mhm.
I don't know whether that might maybe and I guess maybe there's one way out of this that I can see is like maybe that kid says that because maybe he really truly believes that he doesn't think he needs to be saved or saved. Maybe that's what that kid is really on. Maybe Deku needs to find a way to break that. It'd be really weird if that was the case, but still, it's like I feel like Shigaraki and my brain's done too dang much. Like, yeah, killing him is probably the worst. It was like I feel like I feel like if you want to say he's going to become number one hero, I feel like destroying that man has to be on the to-do list. At least like wrecking his life, maybe messing up his face and hands like All Might did to All for One. Well, All
Mhm.
for One lost his face, but still the same principle applies. Maybe Deku can mess up his body so he can't use. I don't know. To me, it's like he is so like Shigaraki, like even beyond because even back when Shigaraki did too much, in my opinion, to be saved, when they brought that little kid, and I was like, oh lord, they're gonna use the little kid as a way to freaking say that he's worth of being saved. But that kid just doesn't want to be saved. This is different than any other character that Deku's come across. This kid has literally pulled his hand away from wanting to be. I don't know how Deku's gonna change his mind. Kid is very kid inside Shigaraki, the one that I'm like gonna have to convince, and I don't know if that's gonna be possible. Like, because that kid has no connection with Deku and whatsoever. Like, I think Deku first met that kid in that internal space for the very first time during the war.
Mhm.
And we've seen that kid get messed up as a little kid too. So like to me, it's like I don't know. I know you're positive that they're going to do something which is going to probably be for its bad writing. But even with that, it's like I don't know.
I'm just worried. I'm really enjoying this series, and I'm just worried that it's going to end up with some bad. I'm trying to figure out how they finish this story in a few more episodes with everything that they've spent so much time building up to, with it still being good writing, and it's a little scary. I don't know.
Gotta die. Um, do I believe he's gonna die? No, not really. Most of the time,
Deku can't die. Oh, you mean Shigaraki's got to die?
yeah,
But who kills him to make it work?
they
The
could
only
possibly
one that
do it
can kill him to
accidentally.
make it work would be like,
They could
All for
accidentally
One.
kill him. It could
I
be
guess
one.
All for One.
One's gonna be dead by that point. This is my belief.
Right. I don't think he's powerful enough to kill him, but All for One is the only one I can think of that like where it would be okay if he killed him.
Deku could accidentally kill him. It'd be one of those things where Deku, like, basically,
Well, then we lose our happy ending because Deku feels terrible that he killed him. I'd like a happy ending.
he
I
could.
think I need specifically a happy ending to this anime
There's
to
no
feel
happy
good about
ending with
having
him
spent all
alive.
this time watching it.
You said that already, though. There's no happy ending with him alive.
You know you're gonna hate this, but they could take away his bending.
Why do you keep calling it
And
bending?
because I'm talking about that bullshit ending. They could take it away by having All for One take his abilities from him before he dies, and Deku doesn't have to kill All for One because All for One's going to die either way. In All for One's attempt to take over Shigaraki, you know what I mean, Shigaraki, he could, as part of that battle, take away his abilities and leave Shigaraki without abilities, and then All for One dies, and Shigaraki is left without abilities, even though he'd still be very formidable just without his abilities, which you've seen as still makes him a match for Deku. So I still don't know what happened, but then they have at least a little bit more to work with because he doesn't have his abilities anymore.
In my brain, like All for One's gone. He isn't present anywhere. That's where my brain is, and I'm not saying that Baku's takes All for One out. That's not where my brain is with that. But it's like I just don't. I don't imagine any scenario in which Deku is like I do not see a situation where Deku is fighting both in All for One and Shigaraki. It's too much. Even with what All for One is technologically, not technology, but like biologically right now, that just seems way too much. You got an amped up All for One who wants you dead, and then you got Shigaraki who also wants you dead.
But they also want each other dead. So like I said, it could be a three-way battle.
I don't think that All for One.
All for One doesn't want him dead, but All for One wants his body, and he wants him not to be in it. So he wants to take over his body and destroy his mind, so he can't resist him, which is real close to being dead. And Shigaraki is going to want to kill him for that. So Shigaraki is going to want him dead. So I mean, I might not be technically 100% technically right, but I'm functionally right.
I don't like that either. It's too
Your
much.
face doesn't want it.
That's what?
Your face doesn't want it.
You're right. That doesn't make any sense to me. The way that was freaking functioning out, because like that's still too much. Like there's no freaking way. Because what you're banking on, so this is what you're banking on in that scenario. You're banking on Deku teaming up with one or the other. But I don't like either one of them teaming up with them, because again, like that's whole like, I guess for me, it's like I don't want to feel bad for either one of these villains.
It could just be a free for all.
I don't want either one of them teaming with Deku, because all that's gonna do, like, have some powwow BS going on, and I don't want that.
It doesn't have to be teaming up though. It can just be a free for all.
Still teaming up, because what's gonna happen is they're both gonna land a hit at the same time.
On somebody, yeah, at some point in a free for all, two of them might land a hit on the third one, but it doesn't have to be anyone in particular. It could be any combination of the three. You know what I mean? Landing a hit on the third one.
I don't know. I'm having a hard time really thinking about
followed by two of them completely hitting another one. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't even have to be the same person for the second hit. Like, you know.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing with that scenario. What's to stop Tomura and All for One teaming up in Deku to get him out of the way?
What's stopping any combination of them from teaming up with the other one to get them out of the way?
But I feel like, to me, Deku would be in that situation, Deku would be the more high priority, because he's unpredictable and they don't know what he's gonna do. At least with All for One and Shigaraki, they know each other's ins and outs. Like pretty much know each other.
That sounded sexual.
That wasn't meant to be sexual. I don't know where your brain.
That sounded extremely sexual.
But back to what I was saying. But I'm just saying, to me, it's like in that situation, the probability of them teaming up against Deku.
Probability. Okay, Donatello.
Is literally 100%. I can't see a situation where that wouldn't be a possibility. Now, I will say maybe I'll back off with that. Maybe 75-25, but I'm pretty sure 75% is still more likely that Tomura and All for One will team up on Deku. There's no downside. Then they can just duke it out. Like, I do not trust, even in a free for all, that those two would not attack Deku to get him out of the freaking way. It just seems too, like, that's like that situation you're talking about doesn't make any sense. That's like, to me, that All for One's got to be out of the picture. Like, he can't be there, and he can't be there in that fight. He can't be. As I'm saying, I feel like whatever happens to All for One's not gonna make you happy. Whatever happens to him, I just don't think All for One can.
I'll be okay if Bakugo one-on-ones him. there's worse things that could happen, but I will wonder why they bothered to build up the whole story of him trying to take over the guy if he wasn't even going to reach him at the end.
The story was that he thought he had a plan to get to him, and unfortunately everything kind of fell through the freaking floor near the end of it. Like Obi-Wan ain't infallible.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on with my other notes because now we're almost at midnight. I wish I'd understood how gear shift works a little better. We've seen it like a little bit, but like I feel like I don't have a proper understanding of how it's working, so I'm having trouble getting excited about gear shift being like a plot device right now because I'm just like I don't fully get it.
I looked it up before, but could not understand. Don't remember anything I looked up, so let's look up the ability really quick.
Yeah, and then like second gear seems to be the last gear, and I'm like, I guess that makes sense because second gear is drive, but like at the same time, like you would have logically, I would have thought counting the gears up or down, you know what I mean? Where first gear or fourth gear or something would have been the last gear, but it looks like second gear is like the breaking point for him. Once he hits second gear, it's done. I don't know. I just don't feel. I know I can look it up, dude.
No, I was
but
just
like
trying to say it here.
Go ahead.
I mean, this isn't even a spoiler, just what they're saying. Gear shift allows the user to change the speed at which things accelerate through space, even capable of changing speeds while ignoring the laws of inertia.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds just like if he's going forward with a punch and he's going at like point blank speed, the thing allows him to slow himself down to 0. Then when he unlocks it, he'll go immediately right back to the full speed that he was going at. So essentially a full punch,
like a whiplash or something. Yeah,
basically he doesn't lose any speed, or he literally forgoes the laws of space-time. Like in Sir Isaac Newton, probably the wrong name there, would be upset basically. Continue.
Okay. Yeah, I just meant like I wish they'd used it a little bit more in some scenarios so that like I would have had a better, even like a training sequence where we saw him practicing with it or something, just so I saw it a little bit more in action so I could be a little more logically invested in what was going on. What?
Sounds like a double-edged sword though. But
a little bit. I just like a little bit more taste of understanding of how exactly that works so that I could have feel a little more involved in like understanding what was going on. This one is probably BS, but I wondered if All Might was seeing Night Eye as sort of a dredge, like a residue kind of effect of, hang on, some sort of residue effect of the same part of the One for All quirk that allows people to see like their previous users, but I don't think there's probably a lot to that. But I didn't want to ignore the fact that I found it interesting that both All Might and Deku were speaking to basically hallucinations in a sort of way.
I don't know if he was a hallucination. Just obviously,
he called him a hallucination.
Yeah, but here's the thing: when he said that, he said it almost like, "Why isn't a hallucination saying this to me?" He did it twice.
Like it doesn't feel like a hallucination is what he was saying.
I think,
but then you wonder why he's seeing that, and like the only reason I could think of and that it would be explained in the story that he would have seen it would have been if it was like some sort of residue of the One for All quirk, that the same type of piece of the quirk that allows you to see the previous users.
I don't think,
but that didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I think maybe, and this is just me coming up with my own canon with it. It's possible considering that I think Night Eye needs to touch you to see your future or whatever like that. It's possible there's some like really weird
imprint
side effect of like maybe Night Eye left something with All Might back when they had left, back when they had their argument, possibly because he didn't speak until like Night Eye was on his deathbed. So it's possible that maybe Night Eye, I mean, this is BS too, but like maybe it's possible considering that he can see in the future. It's possible he has some type of spiritual.
Yeah, it did seem like more than just a hallucination, but then we're watching an anime and they can do anything they want with hallucinations. We saw butt naked Vegeta talking to Goku at one point, so anything is a game after that. But I don't know, there's just a thing. The next thing I had was just a little funny observation. What type of life is Edshot going to live after this series is over? Being a little triangle of flesh on the ground that can that can twitch and talk a little bit. Like it just, I don't know what recovery looks like for Ed Shop, but there's not a whole lot of them left.
I think he's dead. I think he's slowly dying.
He said at one point, he said, just as I was going to have to choose between his life and my life, Bakugo healed himself. So that to me means that he never had to choose between his life and Bakugo's life because Bakugo took care of it.
Yeah, but back to your whole idea of what kind of life he's gonna lead. I feel like I don't know. I don't understand his biology because he was saying that the thread uses his biology. I just thought maybe I don't know how he's gonna survive beyond this. But
it seems like he's gonna live for some reason. But like my question was like, why would you want to do that? Like, why don't you just? I don't know. Why are you glad you lived? But I wouldn't want to be a little triangle of flesh that can talk with one eye. But apparently he's hot. Yeah, that seems like a long journey, but maybe. Let me see what else. So this one I know you've talked about pretty much, but I'm really interested. Bakugo has obviously broken his limit and he's ascended. You know, in anime speak, he's found a new level. You know what I mean? Bakugo's become his equivalent of Super Saiyan. And I feel like we're just scratching the surface of what that means. Like the healing himself, the superpowers that he's had, the super speed he just discovers at the end of the episode, you know, to help him catch up. I feel like he's going to discover all sorts of new Super Saiyan, basically parallel abilities in the next episode that they show him fighting in, which might not be the next episode. The next episode, well, it's called the final boss, so I guess he is going to be fighting in it. But I think the next episode is going to be about Bakugo just transcending in all sorts of different ways.
I think, like, I don't know if it's transcending as much as just discovering that his ability can definitely come out of more than just his palms, which is what he thought his entire life.
Yeah, wait until he hits puberty, all right?
Oh dear God. Basically discovering
you can blow up too. Sorry.
Wow, but I hate you. But like, but realizing that, like, and I guess honestly, I think I remember saying this exactly about having to sweat come out of his body, like a full body. I think I mention this many videos ago, whatever. I feel like maybe that's where his ability is gonna go. I will say I'm not gonna sit here and say that I was expecting it to go that way, considering that I didn't think that My Hero was gonna go that direction with Bakugo's abilities. But with that being said, and now we're here, the future with his ability, considering that he only just discovered that he can figure out where the pain center is and then triangulate when to explode it in his body, is insane. And yeah, with that, he gained so many more abilities. I'm still under the impression that Howlitzer Impact isn't going to be anything more than just a bigger, brighter explosion. Unless, now here's the thing, unless he's got like a sub name underneath Howlitzer Impact, like just crazy explosion or something like that. I mean, people are calling him Great Explosion Murder King Dynamite. Looking at the long name, I'm hoping when he gets older and kind of matures further that he decides to drop everything but the name Dynamite, because like that fits him so much more now than that long name that he put on as a kid. Because even like All Might called him by his hero name, and I'm like, get All Might, like, don't give him affirmation. Yeah, his power is definitely significant. I don't know where it's gonna ultimately take him, because like it seems like only discovered this like by like being sent flying on his behind, and like when he was kind of almost out of it. I don't know if this is gonna be an on and off switch thing. I feel like it kind of has to be, because like that seems to be incredibly inconvenient for like small fry villains that you have to go out there and capture. Like having that on all the dang time is gonna be insane. And plus, if it hurts him, like it sounds like it's doing, like I can't imagine. Again, that's something that he will want to keep on. But who am I to like? Yeah. It's clear that he definitely needs to train it more, which is kind of funny, because like you can clearly see he doesn't have control, but he's just kind of sitting his whole entire body flying, and he's like, "I'm going too fast." It goes through buildings.
Right. Okay. Let's see. I already mentioned that I think All For One should be a more impressive fighter. I noticed that Spinner was captured. I think the skinny guy with the yellow jacket at 1532 is Fat Gum, which I thought was interesting. I also noticed that Invisible Girl was still visible. Um,
That was weird.
Not a big deal, but it's interesting how long she's been visible now, and she's wearing a very provocative little, poorly covering her body, and in reality would have not covered her body properly, jacket, and butt naked underneath the jacket that she doesn't even close. Um, I'm curious about what's going to happen. I'm assuming in a near one of the next two episodes we find out what happened with Kurogiri, Eraserhead, and Present Mike. I'm kind of fingers crossed that we get to see a real fight scene with Present Mike because we've really never seen him cut loose. I think it'd be kind of fun to see what Present Mike can do in a fight. Eraserhead will have been pretty beat up by then, so I think it would be Present Mike kind of leading that. That would be interesting. And Kurogiri is like not an especially difficult person to one-on-one, so it'd be interesting to see how Kurogiri creatively uses his ability in a fight as well. I didn't get why Bakugo was saying, like, I understand sort of what he means, but I didn't fully understand what Bakugo meant about using pain to, like, understand his quirk.
He's saying
towards the
that
end.
he's saying that he can feel where the pain's coming from, and he can use that to pretty much determine when to explode in his body.
Yeah.
So it sounds like
but what does that really mean?
pressure, just like he can tell where the sweat gland is, where the sweat is, and he detonates in his body and causes him. Basically, I think he's saying he can control how big the explosion or how powerful the explosion is. I guess maybe where it's coming from now, like in terms of he doesn't necessarily need to have it from his palms. So it's clear that he still uses his palms because you see that one scene where the animation, you see him using his palms for his attacks. So it sounds like he's got more control. He knows that he can explode from different places now because he acknowledges that. I guess he's saying that he can like control where it is now. He knows where it's in his body now, apparently. But I guess something he didn't know. He knows where it's in his body because he can feel it. And apparently, again, it's hurting him.
Yeah. The last thing I was wondering about is around 1537. That villain that looks like he's from Spirited Away, the jailbreaker. I didn't really remember him. Is he? What am I forgetting about him? Like, what's his ability?
They say it's saturation, but I don't know exactly.
I don't know what the hell saturation means, but yeah. It's kind of cool to see like some of the sort of nobody heroes, like from like Sugar Rush is kind of a nobody in the show. You know what I mean? But like it was kind of cool to see the three of them, Tape Guy and the guy that just has a big tail and does martial arts. Like those three, like doing something important. I like that all the Class A heroes got a moment, except for Froppy, got a moment to do something important.
I still think
the guy that runs fast. I forget what his name was, but the guy that runs fast, I will give you that. He doesn't seem to do anything important either.
I think Froppy does enough. I really do. I really do. No, at least she's done a good job. What she's done. Okay. Well,
yeah. All right. Well, that was all my stuff. I did take some notes. I watched the episode twice, and I looked up some fan reactions and stuff like that to see what I could learn.
I cannot wait for what the next episode is. Even if we do get some backstory from all for one, I feel like it's gonna be a lot more surprising in that. Maybe not even explaining all for one, showing us the world. Because I'm always kind of curious what the world was like. He was actually biologically young versus what it's now. He makes it seem like it's a villain's paradise. But with that, I'm gonna end it here because we are at 12 o'clock. Good night.